Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I don't know what's going on here with that. James should be popping up there at least. I had it correct. There's James. There's his face. There's the dude.
Hello.
All right. Off to a terrible start.
Simmer.
All right. Well, as you notice, we're not. My face is not currently up there. I'm trying to figure out some stuff, so I'm trying to figure that out while we get everybody in here. But I guess I'll talk while I'm doing. Or James, you can talk to everybody. Tell them what we're doing today. What we're talking about.
We're having
today.
a podcast. Every week, same thing, different subject. You'll never believe what today's subject is, because I know you can't read. I'll tell you. Today's subject is going to be Lord of the Rings. And I'll leave it up to Ryan whether or not we also talk about the Hobbit movies. Because I'd like to keep it within the confines of the movies, because the books go very in depth with gods and stuff like that, and the making of all the races and stuff. But if you want to, we can get into that. I don't think a lot of people are going to be interested in a lot of that exposition stuff.
I was
about to say, but as far as the movies though, very good stuff.
Say it all. This kind of depends on if I do that. Is that going to change it? Yes, it is. It all just kind of depends on what everybody.
It's all my camera. Look at those gray hairs. Oh boy.
Huh?
He had it on my hair. There's just a lot of gray hairs there.
Yeah, I was trying to.
There you go.
Like I said, I was trying to find a way to show everybody. You know what I mean? But it's a bit of a bitch.
Work in progress.
It is. It's a. What I can do though, I can. We'll do one of these on these classic things right here. Right her. And then I'll just do that. Just let everybody get in. Okay. All right, my camera's back up. You can see a little bit behind the scenes of me setting shit up.
I didn't see anything.
Huh? For some reason, it's not flipped like it should be.
It is on Discord.
Yeah, on Discord I can see it. There it goes.
It should be facing the other way. That's what I was saying.
Oh, that is weird.
It's not as majestic as you guys' background.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't miss that. I'll tell you what, out of our entire playthrough of BioShock, that one specific voice line from those little sisters still haunts me.
Oh no, it's the worst. It's the absolute.
Thank you.
It's an absolute dumpster fire of a thing that shouldn't have happened.
Thank you.
Thank you. Why is this chat box so big? All right, whatever.
Why is your mom's chat box so big?
Right. Had to go there, didn't you?
So good.
Had to say it. Think you're funny, huh?
Siri, play my Gotham playlist.
Think you're the guy, don't you?
No.
Piece of shit.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, I got it working. We got something going. That's all. That's all that matters.
I don't know what's going on with your. You have two of your camera on the screen.
Yeah, I did it to flip it. So you shouldn't be seeing two. It should be.
I don't know. Maybe it's just behind.
Yeah, it is behind. I hit it so that way it actually flipped the right way. But welcome everybody in. Like what James said, we're talking about the
We're talking about
Lord
the
of the
movie
Rings.
adaptations of J.R.R.
JJ
J.R.R.
Wentworth's.
Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies.
We are. And I'm gonna say right off the bat, I don't know
He's an idiot.
fuck all about it. Nothing.
He's an idiot.
Absolutely
He's got
nothing
nothing.
about it. So no, I wouldn't say absolutely.
He's a lame man.
I wouldn't say absolutely nothing. I would say, I'm just not well versed in it. Don't quite know what's
He
going
doesn't know
on.
the lore.
I know the premise of it. Bunch of short kings walking to throw a ring into a furnace. That's all I know.
Oh yeah, not a
And
furnace.
I'm making a joke because it's a.
He's
a volcano.
paraphrasing. It went right above my head. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, like the other day.
I genuinely thought. Go ahead.
We just talked about it like the other day whenever Mikey like was making a joke and shit, and you completely.
I still feel so bad about that. This is what happened. So we were sitting in a party with my brother, and my brother was making a joke, making Ryan repeat himself like, I don't know, 14 times. And I was like, okay, dude, like, what are you not understanding? And Ryan was like, okay, man, hey, simmer. He's joking. And I was like, oh,
dude, it was so funny.
my bad. I got so triggered.
He was getting so pissed off, and he's just like, all right, man. He said it five fucking times.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Like I was tired of hearing Mikey repeat himself, and I was tired of hearing you repeat yourself. And I was just like, okay, what are we not fucking understanding here? Because this is annoying the shit out of me.
Dude, it was so perfect. Because
Ryan was just like, hey man, he's just kidding. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
shit.
I was
No,
like,
yeah, that actually happens to me quite a bit. Some jokes just go over my head because
I
I like legitimately I thought you were talking like he was taking it to like a blacksmith's furnace or something to melt it down, and I was like, I mean, logistically it makes sense, but
no, I know that
you know.
they're like taking it to throw it into the volcano, get rid of it because it drives people crazy and blah 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 and whatever.
What's the name of it?
What, the ring
No,
or the volcano? I was like, a fucking ring? I don't know.
no, the volcano.
Doom.
Mount Doom.
That's a.
There's one thing you learn if you pay attention. If you pay attention to like Lord of the Rings naming convention, it's all very dumb.
I mean,
Smeagol's cousin's name
Smeagol has a cousin?
yeah. So in Two Towers, you learn about Smeagol's backstory a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And in the beginning of the movie, you find how Smeagol got the ring, and he was fishing with his cousin named Deagle.
Oh, that was the third movie, The Return of the King.
Return
I
of
know
the
what
King. Return of the King. This is
Smeagol
what you're
and
gonna
Deagle.
find with me a lot. This is what you're gonna find with me a lot. What movies happened, right? I know the happenings of the movies. I don't remember what movies things happened in though. It's like, is there 6 movies and it all kind of like mashes together. This is all one central theme. So I'm gonna try to stay away from just saying the movies and just try to describe the things that were happening. Yeah. So he was fishing with his cousin Deagle. Smeagol was.
and Deagle.
Yeah, so Deagle goes overboard in their little rowboat, and he swims to the bottom of the river, and he finds the one ring. And when he comes back up to shore, Smeagol sees him. He's like, "What do you got there, bud?" And he's like, "None of your fucking business, dork." And Deagle is like, "This is mine." Smeagol's like, "No, I like the way it looks. I want it too." Then Smeagol chokes him out and murders him.
All right.
Well, very good cousin, obviously.
Wasn't
Just-
a very good cousin.
Right off the bat. So, like, what? Just the pure presence of this ring? It turned because I know the ring
So,
does turn
The
people,
ring.
But
Okay, so the creation of the ring, right? Sauron sought out a master craftsman named Celebrimbor, and Celebrimbor was a part of this elven culture that were master craftsmen, all of them, but they weren't capable of doing the kind of craftsmanship that Sauron was capable of. But at the time, Sauron was a very evil person, and everyone kind of knew that Sauron was an evil person. So he went to these elves under the guise of a man called the Bringer of Gifts or something like that, and taught them how to make the rings. And after, I think, a pretty significant amount of time passed, they actually make the rings of men, the rings of elves, and the rings of dwarves. And ultimately, Sauron returns to Mount Doom and makes the One Ring to control them all. Now, because Sauron created these rings, his life force and life essence is in that ring. So when it gets cut off his finger, his physical form disapparates, and he's left to the ether to try to recoup himself. But he's not ever full because his life force is in the One Ring. So the One Ring, holding the most evil man's spirit inside of it, corrupts people. And you see the same thing with the human general, which is Aragorn's father. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. And then Aragorn, that's right. So Aragorn's actually the one that cut the finger with the ring on it, and he kept the ring for himself.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Isildur is the one that. Yeah.
So Isildur cuts the ring off and keeps the ring for himself, and then gets ambushed by archers and loses the ring into the river. And then you cut to see Smeagol and Deagol fighting over it because it's the same river. Washed down the same river. But so they get the ring. Basically, the ring corrupts anybody who holds it, and it becomes their most prized possession to try to get itself back to Sauron.
It's their precious, kind of like how you're my precious there, you gorgeous ginger.
Yeah, I was like I said, I know somewhat. Like, I know the ring, gets people going, and
One ring to bind them.
A woman decided to message me on Discord, and she's
You have that hidden, so you didn't see anything.
cool. Yeah,
Pardon.
I just hit it. Yeah, no, like I know, like I said, the premise of it, it's all, its own thing. And just I don't know. I think I've said it several times, all on the channel, on the gaming side of things. It just, I don't know. Like, the story is cool, and some of the people look cool. I know, like, the big, like that big black knight. You know what I'm talking about? Huh?
The Nazgul?
The ring wraith, the Nazgul.
Yeah, I think I don't
The ones
know.
that screech on the black horses.
Yeah, and it was like a big black armor and shit like that.
I mean, you could genuinely be talking about Sauron.
Yeah,
It could have been
you
him.
really
I don't
could.
know. I don't know. But
So the ring wraiths have hoods. They have long black cloaks,
No,
and
he
they
has
have hoods
armor.
over. So you're talking about Sauron.
Yeah, he
That's
looks
that's
cool.
the main big bad boy.
So like this
That's
is
the only time in the movies. That's the only time you see him. Just in
Oh,
that
is
one
him
instance in
riding
the
a
first
horse?
movie. No, you don't actually know, because
Well,
the
no,
one you're
so-
talking about never actually touched a horse.
So something that I saw, it was Frodo and Sam, and they like were hiding under a tree or something like that, and then somebody.
Yep. So you are talking about a Nazgul, and they do wear hoods. They have black armor, but they only have black armored boots and gauntlets. They don't have any like physical like helmet because they are ethereal.
I don't know. No, I do know Sauron's like armor looks cool and shit, and I
He's
don't
a
know, like,
thick boy.
everything about it looks cool when it comes to like that side of it. You know what I mean? Because it's like the
Mhm.
same thing with like Oblivion, and like whenever you get into Oblivion, and the armor looks cool, and like the whole death side of it looks awesome. I just don't really. I don't know. A medieval just don't. Fantasy just doesn't tickle the pickle like sci-fi does. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
I-
solid copy, but I
like-
didn't need that innuendo. I'll be honest with you.
I don't know. The Shire just don't get me going. You know what I mean? The Shire's it's very pretty. I'll say that.
What's wrong with the Shire, man?
It's just not my cup of tea. You know,
I think literally like 2/10 of all of that franchise takes place in the Shire.
I'm just saying that just to talk shit. But I don't know. It just something about medieval like high fantasy stuff has never really caught me. I'm not, and maybe it's just like the only part of high fantasy that ever catches me is like the badass looking armor and maybe dragons and
I don't know. The fights are pretty sick, man.
that shit.
Well, clearly you never seen the Battle of Helm's Deep scene with like Dolby surround sound, because I mean that just, oh my god, like there's no comparison to that.
It's pretty good. Helm's Deep is pretty sick, man. Return of the King, great movie.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't. So like, what is it about high fantasy that like attracts you guys? Like, because you both are two people that know a lot about Lord of the Rings and enjoy Lord of the Rings to like an extent. So like, what about that besides the story? Like, because like I mean, yeah, I can get and understand like a compelling story and shit like that. But like, whenever you're both two people that enjoy high fantasy, why? Why do you enjoy high fantasy over like sci-fi?
It's a little harder to break down for me, because I do enjoy both. You know?
Well, like, but okay, well then just why do you like high fantasy? Like, what about high fantasy attracts you?
The make believe of it all. I mean, because like when I was younger, I was a big fan of like sword fighting and saving princesses and all that shit. You know what I mean? That never really left me, and it has a lot to do with like the media we were consuming at the time. You know what I mean? Like a lot of like there's like I watched a lot of Thundercats. I watched a lot of He-Man. So it's the same kind of premise. You know what I mean? Swords, shields, magic. I was always a big fan of that. And I liked it so much that I delved into D&D and stuff like that. Like high fantasy, I don't know. It's just like a lot of it's like super just make believe. You know what I mean? Mythical creatures that are mashed together, like a minotaur. It's like a half bull, half man. I mean, that sounds sick. Centaur, half horse, half man. It's like when you get into like the sci-fi stuff, it's like, yeah, automatons, robots, and AI and cyborgs and flying cars and all that stuff. But there's no magic to it. You know what I mean? I think that's really why I like high fantasy more, is because magic. You know what I mean? Over like the science stuff. Again, I do find them both very fun and I find them cool. But
I mean,
for me, I just like magic, dude. Magic's sick.
So I'd have to agree with James. Like the magic aspect is what's part of the appeal of it, but more so for me, I'm a real big history nerd, and the Renaissance and medieval time kind of like the same type of, I wouldn't say genre, but like kind of like the same setting is what goes on with Lord of the Rings.
The same ideas.
Yeah, and I feel like in some way that because with whenever you hear a story, there's always a grain of truth in it. So maybe in a way that magic and stuff of Middle Earth was at some point something that may or not have been in the world 500 600 years ago.
Yeah,
well, I will say I'm not batshit crazy. So there's that.
I'm with you because I feel the same way, because like I've said this before, is like in every lie there, like what you just said, every lie there's a grain of truth, because like even if
pull your mic back a little bit.
Oh, am I too loud? Well, am I too loud on stream, or am I just too loud to you guys?
I'm just hearing you on Discord. I don't,
because that's the concern, is if because I got to figure. Because I think it's just a Discord thing.
Yeah, no, it's just Discord.
Okay.
Well, I turned down my speakers a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're perfectly fine.
Make sure it wasn't
perfectly fine on stream.
I just want to make sure I'm good on stream. But I'll at least turn it down for you. I just felt like I wasn't getting enough on the stream. So no, I get that full-heartedly, because I mean I'm somebody too that's like, in every lie there's some truth and shit. So these stories that got made up, and these tales that are somewhere coming out. It's like there's some bit of truth there. So I see that. I think for me, and like why I like sci-fi more, it's like it's not necessarily the science that I think it really just boils down to a straight ooga booga thing of like I think laser swords and blasters are cool. You know what I mean? I've
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
I don't know, because even now
I think a lot of the draw to sci-fi is that it could still happen.
yeah, and
You
I
know
think
what I mean?
that's my thing too. Is like, so let's say it's go in the realm of like, yes, magic and dragons and shit like that exist. I do enjoy history, but like that shit's history. It happened, and it's no longer there.
Yeah.
Now thinking about sci-fi is like, oh, I could have a laser sword. I could have like, granted,
Yeah.
never in my lifetime, but like,
Right. Like I said, I like both of them, but I think it's more the fact that I also have a fear of the unknown. So like I'd
Yeah.
like to know what's coming at me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But like I feel like the more I study the blade, the better I'll be later on. You know?
Yeah, no, and then I was just about to say something about that too. Like in real life, just personally, I am I'm a gun guy. I don't really care for swords and knives and shit like that. Now, can I appreciate a sword? Yeah, for sure. I like a good.
Swords are sick.
I'm a weeb. I like katanas and
What's a lightsaber but a saber?
yeah, but like. And
Well,
I enjoy like a good tactical blade and shit like that, and a knife or whatever. But like I prefer guns, and so I think it has something to do. Like I don't really care for like yes, lightsaber is a saber and it's a sword and the laser sword and shit like that. But like it's cool. It's a big bright laser that can cut through literally anything.
Shoot superheated bullets.
Yeah. Like, and it can cut through anything and deflect anything, and it's just sick.
Like butter.
Yeah. And
I think with like the sci-fi versus like the setting of Middle Earth and all, I think we're closer to having the sci-fi stuff than we are like the magic and dragon stuff.
Yeah.
So
dude, we could fall into dark times, man.
I may or may not have hoped for it a few times.
Return to soil.
Working pay bills because you're too busy, out in the woods hunting for your food.
If you lived in like a high fantasy situation, what kind of profession do you think you would be?
I'd be a rogue.
You know what I mean? Would like a bounty hunter? Would you be a pirate? Would you be a mage?
Every campaign I've ever done with D&D, I'd be a rogue. So probably
little assassin.
Little thief.
What'd you say, Aaron?
Say what?
Well, what's your answer?
Bard.
I'd probably be a knight, like
a knight,
militaristic,
little paladin knight, electric boogaloo.
Mm-hmm. I see. Are you gonna be I can see you being a bard, James.
Me?
Yeah,
that's what I always play. If I do play like D&D, when I play Baldur's Gate, I played a bard.
So you're the horny bard in D&D, huh?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the bard. Big fan of the bard.
Over there running around singing and gallivanting.
Oh yeah, dude. Call me Sir Galahad.
I haven't heard in a while, gallivanting.
I know.
I mean, there's usually old fantasy movie called Sir Gallivant or something like that, and it was like a spoof movie. I don't remember actually what it was called.
But yeah, so back to like Lord of the Rings and everything. It's hard for it. I don't know. I'm trying to find some questions to ask because it's kind of harder for me to speak on it whenever I've not really ever seen it. Like the only one that I've ever fully seen, like all the way through, was Desolation of Smaug. That's the only thing I've seen. And
I mean, Desolation is a good one. You know what I mean? Now, of course, that's the 5th movie in all of the
and it's a prequel
movies, and it is a prequel, right?
So
that's a big boy,
big fat girl.
So Desolation of Smaug is still a lot of people's favorite.
James has got one of those.
I did.
A little pity.
Little baby pity.
My pitiful little pity.
Big old eyes.
Ain't nothing in that.
Oh
fucking
yeah,
head,
so
though.
Desolation of Smog. Desolation of Smog is still one of people's favorite movies because of
Yeah.
all of the stuff that it
in
did.
literally the only so whenever I went to go watch it, the only two reasons why I watched it. One, I was going with a girlfriend at the time that she was interested in watching it. Two,
Hell yeah.
I heard that there was going to be a giant gold dragon. That's it.
I don't think was the Gold Dragon in Desolation, or
Well,
was that
because-
it like closer to the beginning of Battle of Five Armies?
Well, because I think he got covered in like the gold in his.
Yeah, but
place or whatever.
I feel like you're right. It probably was.
I don't know, it's been
Desolation.
years since because I watched it when it came out in theaters.
Yeah,
but
it's been a long time for
that's-
me too.
So when he was covered in gold was the end of the second one, and then it kind of picks up on the third one
Yeah,
where
that's
he
right.
was like covered in gold,
Yeah,
because it goes. You've got you've got the Fellowship of the Rings, the Two Towers, the Return of the King, and then it picks up on the Hobbit, An Unexpected Adventure, the Desolation of Smaug, and then the Battle of the Five Armies. Even though those last three literally happened before the first three, but
Yeah.
the old
it's kinda
prequel
like that
treatment.
with Star Wars.
Which I mean, I'm not super offended about it. You know?
No, but
No, I
but
mean,
yeah,
I like her now.
that's literally what made me go watch it. Was some ass and a big old dragon. That's it. Other than that, I wouldn't have went and watched it.
It's crazy because Lord of the Rings isn't really a
Oh,
moon
that equation.
snatcher.
Yeah. So because she wanted to go watch it, and I went with her and like some of her family, and then
You went with her family.
yeah,
God.
and then the big dragon being in it. Other than that, I just wasn't
Benedict
my
Cumberbatch as a dragon.
game. Yeah. And I
Smaug.
and literally the only bit that I remember out of that entire movie was the ending with the dragon. I don't remember fuck all of anything else that happened throughout that movie.
There's a lot to do with the bard in Desolation.
Yeah.
And
I don't-
a lot of people thought, I don't know. I was like, I don't really remember a lot of that movie either, because I found Unexpected Journey and Battle of Five Armies a lot more entertaining than Desolation, which is maybe a hot take because a lot of people do love Desolation of Smaug, but
I mean, it's a good one. I would have to say the first one of the Hobbit's probably my favorite, just because that was. And with me, I always like the first movie of something way better than I do all the sequels, because it's you guys hit the nail on the head, and then you got a little bit of success, and then you do the next one, then you kind of got a little too big for your britches.
I'm like the exact opposite. You can ask Ryan. I tend to find things and gain interest in things on sequels. I do it all the time.
Yeah, no, he definitely does that. Yeah, it all just kind of depends on the franchise, and depends on the the director and stuff like that, because like what you said, Aaron, yeah, with a lot of movies they do kind of because the budget gets bigger, you know what I mean, and then they're like, well, all this succeeded, and so they try to throw shit at it that sticks, or because there's a weird dilemma whenever making sequels. It's well, do I expand and do new things, or do I play it safe? You know what I mean?
Well, so the original idea behind Lord of the Rings, J.J. Abrams wanted to make 3 movies, right? But Harvey
Who
Weinstein.
directed it? Was it J.J. Abrams that directed?
Who's J.J. Abrams? Yeah,
He directed all of them.
he directed all of them and the Hobbit movie.
No, it was Peter Jackson that.
Yeah,
Peter
directed them.
Jackson.
Peter Jackson. I was like,
So
oh,
sorry, I said J.J. Abrams. That's the
Oh,
Avatar guy, isn't it?
no,
No, it's
J.J.
James
Abrams did
Cameron.
the Star Trek movies, the
Yeah,
first
that's
Star
right.
Wars movie.
That's right.
I mean, the first
Well,
new
so
Star Wars movie.
Cameron, yeah, so Cameron's original idea was to have 3 movies, but then Harvey Weinstein shut it down and only wanted to do,
Wow,
I
that's the
think,
character.
1 or 2 movies. I think it might be 2 movies. But then Cameron posted the scripts, leaked the scripts, and then New Line Cinema picked it up for all 3 movies.
That's
Weinstein, oh my God, it was so funny because I think at the end of the first movie, Weinstein was accredited as an executive producer. And he wasn't.
Yeah,
on
he
the-
was out there producing
So
stuff.
funny.
I'll tell you that.
It was so funny.
He's out there
Real kick in the
producing
head.
some shit. But no,
Piece of shit.
No. So when was the first time that you guys got introduced into Lord of the Rings, and like who introduced it to you?
I was
Mm.
very young reading the books, actually.
You know, the books came out like 1930 or 20 something.
Yeah,
Duh,
they're
duh, duh.
very old.
September of
I think it's like 42,
1937.
37. What was it? I remember. I remember Bucky making a joke about it in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was like,
Yeah, when the movie came out in 1935. 1954 is when the first book came out.
was it okay?
Yeah, the original, like The Hobbit, like the very first edition that Tolkien did was in 1937, but then when it actually became big and actually went into like mass publication was what did you say, 54?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I
So-
remember Bucky made a joke in Falcon and Winter Soldier when they were like, Sam was talking about like the big threes, like aliens, robots, or wizards, and shit. And then
And this is definitely wizards.
yeah, he said these are wizards, and I think Bucky said something like, "We're out here fighting Gandalf," and then Sam was like, "How do you know about?"
He's like,
Gandalf?
how do you know about Gandalf?
He's like, "I read The Hobbit."
It's so
when
funny.
it first came out in 1937. It was really good. I don't care what anybody says. Falcon and Winter Soldier was a great show. It had its moments, but it was fun.
Definitely wasn't.
It was a good
Yeah,
show.
and you know what I find absolutely awesome about that is, so Tolkien was, this academic writer and all that served in World War One, and that's actually when a lot of his base ideas formed, was during World War One, and like 1916, 1917, and then he actually started writing them in the 30s. So here in World War One, World War Two, this guy is writing what would become one of the like most successful book and movie stories.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
What's even crazier about
Yeah.
that? Tolkien's son, Charles, fucking hates the movies.
Really?
Hates them.
Why? Does it say why?
He says this solely is the name of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, or all of his father's works and stuff like that. He just despises them.
When did the author pass away? Did he pass away before?
Tolkien died in I want to say it was the early 70s, 71, 73, something like that.
1973.
1973.
So you never even got the
Sorry.
chance to see it.
Oh no, he was live during the Prohibition, brother.
Yeah,
Fuck no, he didn't see it.
I wasn't putting the two together. No, no. So, well, I don't think Aaron. Did you say whenever you first had your time with Lord of the Rings, like when you got
So-
introduced into it?
Trying to remember.
And then James, did you even say who
What's it?
introduced it to you?
Nobody.
I don't know, but you just kind of like found it on your own, kind of thing.
I mean, yeah. That's me,
I
baby.
wanna-
I find all my
wanna say-
favorite things on my own.
Just shut the fuck up. Sit like,
I'm out here. I'm
my
sore.
own thing, you fucking
I'm
hipster.
sore from creating my own path.
I lay my own stones.
I put my own roads down.
I paved my own path, bitch.
I want to say that my grandparents actually took me to see it in theaters because Lord of the Rings was like released in 2001.
Yeah.
So I'm the old shit.
Yeah,
so
I read
VHS.
I read all the books before I watched the movies. I was very late to watching the movies. Very late to watching the movies.
I didn't get into reading until I was like in
School?
well, yeah, like 5th or 6th grade. Because like before that, I absolutely hated reading. And then one summer, I was staying with my grandparents.
I'm still learning, so I know.
I can't read. I forgot after the accident.
Like my grandma, she's like, you're not going to sit in this house all damn summer, so she took me to the local library, got me a library card, and she's like, you have to read, one book a week. You have to give it a minimum of 30 minutes a day.
Be honest
so
with
I
you.
would sit there at the kitchen table for like 30 minutes reading. And the first couple days I was like, I fucking hate this. I don't want to do this. And then by like the third or fourth day, next thing I know, it had been like 3 or 4 hours that I'd been reading. And so that's just kind of like where my love of reading came from. But my grandma's kind of influenced a lot in my life. She took me to see the first Lord of the Rings when it was in theaters, and then I liked it, and then I ended up getting the books and all that. And then by the time the second or third movie had come out, I already read all the books.
Yeah, butterscotch tapioca pudding.
Fucking what?
I was just saying other shit that like you said, my grandma influenced a lot of stuff in me. And I was like, my love for Lord of the Rings, hard candies,
Cake shaving.
tapioca pudding.
Good. My grandma worked as
passive aggressive racism.
Baker for years.
Purse pennies.
Purse pennies.
So like she would make like cake from scratch, like no box shit in her house. It's from scratch. And then if you didn't know, to get perfect like cakes, like wedding cakes, they actually have this like special tool that shaves it and makes it flat. So like all that raised edge, she'd like save that and put it in the freezer. So like she'd bring out cake shavings for dessert. It was fucking awesome.
Cake shavings is what they called me in high school.
That don't even make fucking sense, James. It's like
it makes perfect sense if you don't think about it.
You know what? I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna call you out. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take a second in the
it's
the
my
show.
boy, cake shavings.
I'm gonna take a second in the show to call you because we all been thinking it. You come in there, you come into this
Nobody's
fucking
been thinking
show,
it, bro.
and you're
Nobody's been thinking
oh
it.
yeah, that's what they called me in high school. Where the fuck does that make sense? You know
Hey,
what I mean?
hey,
What?
shut up.
Exactly. No.
Call me cake shavings from now on.
No.
Call me grandma's cake shavings.
Speaking of taking a second, I do want to take a second to throw, because we always throw it in here close to the hour mark of the show. Once again, in the bio, there is a link tree. That link tree has a whole slew of stuff for you in there.
Slog.
Yeah, a whole slog. The main thing being, I'm going to switch this to the cam one right here real quick. The main thing being is, two main things.
Let him cook.
Things. I'm cooking up grandma's cake shavings. No.
Cooking grandma's cake shavings, dude.
No. So there's a submit form. That submit form's for you guys to send us your music or your art for us to showcase it on the show. As you see at the beginning of these episodes, we always have like that 10-minute pre-show. So that 10-minute pre-show is where we can showcase your music, play it off, your art, build the community, show you guys off and everything. That's what we want to do. But also in that link tree is a 30-day free trial for Hulu.
Hold on. Not you. Keep going.
30-day free trial for Hulu. So that way you can go enjoy that, go watch the latest shows and everything. I'll say Hulu. I sat there and watched the Modern Family, I think is what it's called. It was not Modern Family, Modern American Family or whatever. The one about the Natalia, the little Ukrainian girl that had the growth disease and everything with the family here in Indiana, actually. Super great show. Definitely worth watching.
Very spooky.
Ever
seen The Orphan? It's a lot like that.
But then also there is a 10 free meals for HelloFresh, so you can go sign up for that. Get you 10.
Wait, how many?
10.
10? From where?
Hello Fresh.
Ooh.
No, HelloFresh. So if you're not aware of HelloFresh, it's somebody you can get these pre-packaged meals, like all the ingredients and everything, with a little cue card that teach you how to cook. They'll show you how to cook the meal. It's all fresh ingredients, fresh meat, fresh vegetables.
Never frozen.
Yep. And
I don't
it's
know whose slogan that is.
fresh, never frozen. It's a
Yeah.
It's a who the fuck is that? It's Wendy's.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's Wendy's. But yeah, no, HelloFresh, you can get all that. 10 free meals. They'll send you all that. You can set them up for pescatarian, vegetarian, anything that you can think of, meatitarian, whatever you want. Anything, any way that you eat, you can get it
I
set
think
up
that's
that
just
way.
called carnivore, bub.
Oh, I'm gonna keep calling it meatitarian.
Vegetarian's much better. It's much better.
Yeah, I like it that way. But yeah, 10 free meals. Go sign up for that. All that stuff is in the link tree. It's all in the bio. Also in there will take you to all of these down here. So you have the Sweet Nostalgia TikTok, the Instagram. Creative Sanctuary is not in there, but go show Jen some love. She's been on the show before. Go watch the
Creative
Dreams
Sanctuary is on our channel right now, though. It's on the live right now.
What?
Creative Sanctuary. It's on the live right there at the bottom.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. It's not in the link tree, but it's right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad.
I was like, what the hell
My
are you
bad.
talking about? But yeah, no, it's right
So
here
sorry.
for you to go check them out and everything. And then this over here is the Sweet Nostalgia Cash App for you guys to rather donate or to to help out with the show, or that's where you can submit your forms and everything and pay that. But I wanted to put that out there while we were in that midsection. All right, back to the program. No, so yeah, I'm trying to think, answer the same question that I just asked. With me not really being into Lord of the Rings, I definitely saw it. I think the only bit of media Lord of the Rings wise that I actually enjoyed was the video game on the PS2. There was a
God, I know which one you're talking about because I still have the damn thing.
yeah,
Oh,
I
it was like
I-
the one
you're
you're
right.
telling about is like a shit game or something.
no
Funny.
since he said he's gonna be right back, we'll switch back over to that. No, I don't know. I don't remember what game it was. But it was just it was one of those games where you had 4 characters. You can pick one, and you go in, and it's
I mean,
kind of.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It was probably one of the movie games. I'll be honest with you.
It probably was the movie game. I don't remember what it looks like. I'd have to pull up the cover art. Can I see your phone for a second? I just want to look something up.
It's plugged in, Ryan. I can't.
What? What are you eating? You eating while we're working?
Oh.
The hell you eating?
Mac
Talking about
and
the-
cheese.
All right, hold on. Let Aaron pull it. Let me switch back over to the. I don't. The Return of the King. It might be the Return of the King one.
Neither one of those.
This one's the most popular of the 3 that I know. I don't have the 2 Towers, but I've got the Fellowship. I've got the Return of the King. And yes, I still rock a PS2.
I mean, yeah, the PS2 is still great.
Bad.
Bad? Lord of the Rings PS2
Conquest. Conquest
game.
was very fun. You're probably thinking of the Third Age. Third Age is really good too. You wouldn't be thinking of Lord of the Rings Lego, would you?
No.
I think I actually have that downloaded somewhere, maybe on my Xbox One.
A
A man of culture.
I think it was Return of the King game.
That one
Battle
seemed to
for
be
Middle-earth.
the most popular of the 3 because all the reels and stuff I see about
Yeah,
Lord of the
like-
Rings PS2 games.
Looks like that.
It's-
I don't know if that
Yeah,
where you
Nope.
select your character and you put him in that. Yeah, Return of the King.
that's the. Yep,
I
that's
told
this
you it
one.
was one of the movie games, bro.
So I'd always play as
Battle for Middle Earth though was a great game.
It was. It is. Not was. It is.
I think I played it. I'd play as Legolas a lot because he had an arrow. You know what I mean? Oh, an arrow. That's just
Well, he had more than one, but yeah.
Yeah, because it's like as soon as the game boots up, you get to pick which character you are, and then you're immediately going into a battle, and like you've got like these giant ballistae or whatever, which for those of you who don't know are like giant ground crossbows with like arrows the size of a full-grown man.
I love
and then like you fight the battle, and then you start the quest after the battle's over.
Garrett says,
War in
I
the
love
North
the
is also
Hobbit
really fun.
on PS2. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, literally the Return of the King one is the only one I ever played. Like that's probably literally the only media of Lord of the Rings that I actually like got into. You know what I mean? Like I like this. This was like the dilemma of doing this episode, where like that's why I'm glad, Aaron, that you wanted to be on this, because like when it came down to it, I literally do not know anything. I know the basis. I think James asked me questions the other night about like he's like, name a couple characters, and I did name a handful of them for sure, but like
With help, but yeah.
no, not with a bunch of help. But I will say
You're right, I wasn't there or anything.
I do not know anything about this, and it just wasn't.
Motherfucker couldn't even name Andy Serkis's character.
No, I knew it. It just I couldn't. It took you a
Most-
minute.
Oh,
to,
yeah. No, it did not.
But I could. It was like right there because I was sitting there waiting. And I was thinking about it. I couldn't. I said, Smeagol is what I said.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, but
His
Gollum-
actual name is Gollum, but like people call him Smeagol.
Yeah, but
That was his Hobbit name before he turned into a psychopathical murdering meth granny or whatever you want to say.
doesn't like in the story doesn't like Sam turn into or Frodo turns into.
Frodo starts to, just because he'd been like carrying the ring for so long, he was starting to go down the beginning of the path that Gollum did. But that's when Sam's like, "No, fuck you! I'm not going to lose my best friend." And
Bilbo was closer, a lot closer than Frodo ever was.
yeah, I mean, he started to get taken in by it, but like in Mount Doom, in the end, like Frodo's literally getting ready to repeat history, make his Isildur's mistake, and walk away with the ring instead of destroying the damn thing like he should have done 3,000 years ago. And Gollum shows up. He's like, "Hey, motherfucker, give me back my ring." They fight, and so yeah.
I mean, it is a nice ring.
Sam, Frodo's ass would have died. Just saying.
Garrett
Sam
says,
is the real.
Garrett says the Shadow of War games went crazy. I don't know those games. I don't necessarily have a. I don't know. Have you guys played those ones? The Shadow of War.
Oh yeah, I was playing it the other day.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude. It really explains Celebrimbor's story after creating the rings. Pretty sick. It's the game where you can make your own orc army.
Oh, really? That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
It's very fun. It's the introduction to the Nemesis system, which was Shadow of Mordor, actually, the first one of that 2-game franchise. A Shadow of War perfected it. Gave you some like elf abilities, like elven sprinting and elven jumping and shit like that. You could use a bow that was like an elven bow and stuff. Because technically, Celebrimbor is a wraith in those 2 games. But yeah, creating your own orc army to fight other orcs was super sick.
So now I am curious, because Ryan touched on it a little bit, but James, for you, since you've watched it more, who would you say your favorite character is?
Gimli.
Gimli. So John Rhys Davies' character.
Oh yeah.
Well, what do you like about him? Is it just like the snarkiness, or because he's short and bearded?
I love it that Ryan calls him a gnome every fucking day.
Is that the one that like he's like you're gonna have to toss me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was originally yeah, you tossed me. You never tossed a dwarf. And then like the third movie, he was like, you're gonna have to toss me.
That's funny. That's actually
That still counts as one.
Garrett also says taking forts from warlords. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Taking forts from warlords was super cool. You can appoint your own orc to be a warlord of whatever they were called, fort, as Garrett so generously mentioned a second ago. But then you could you'd have to defend the forts from orcs retaliating against you, and they all level up and stuff. If you die to them, right, they would level up, and eventually they'd get new abilities, and some of them like cheat death and stuff, and you can physically see them changing. Like some orcs that if they die and come back, they'll have like different parts. Like they'll have like metal scrap on them to like replace their arms and shit. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. When does that game come out?
That game came out 2012, 2015 area.
Oh, okay. No.
My dog's drunk.
I didn't think to ask the favorite character. So I mean, you asked-
2014 was Shadow of Mordor. 2017 was Shadow of War.
So, what would be your favorite character then, Aaron, and why?
That's kind of a tie for me. Like I really like Aragorn, Viggo Mortensen's character, just because he's like the prodigal in that. Because he's like the true king of Gondor and all that, and he kind of, in my opinion, he shuns his destiny and birthright because he doesn't feel like he's worthy enough.
Me too.
Yeah. But then like I would have to say Saruman, Christopher Lee's character, the evil wizard, like, but that's just because like I'm a huge Christopher Lee fan. Like
No, I
live.
love Christopher Lee, but well, funny enough, I love Christopher Lee in literally the opposite spectrum of this, and Star Wars as Count Dooku. It's kind of funny that he played two characters like in like two basically competing franchises and shit like that. But no, I loved Christopher Lee because I actually just recently watched something where like they were talking about when his character got like stabbed in the back or whatever. The director was like asking him to like kind of play it up more and like act a certain way and sound a certain way whenever he did it. But like he was like, that's not what it sounds like when somebody gets stabbed in the back. But because for people that don't know, Christopher Lee he was in the military and served in the war, and is a very decorated war hero and shit. And so he's seen and heard people get stabbed in the back. You know what I mean? So he knows what it sounds like. And I think he said that he has stabbed people in the back. And
Me too.
so he knew that, and I think the director was like, you know what? I'm not going to ask how you know that. I'm just going to move on. I'm going to trust you. You're the actor. You got this. And I thought that was like pretty cool. And
another
kind of
fun fact
scary.
about Christopher Lee, he actually hated not being cast in the third movie, Return of the King.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he hated it. Because he hated it because they wanted to just cut him out of it entirely, right? Because he was like retreated into his castle and left with nothing, right? By the time the Ents had flooded his tower, so he was cowering in his tower, and they were just going to cut him out of the whole movie. But they gave him a little deleted scene in the director's cut, which was cool.
I was going to say, have you seen the director's cut and the extended? Because a lot of people actually haven't. And, in the beginning, you see his fate.
Yeah. Completely bedraggled.
Garrett says he was a space wizard and a wizard. He, in
That's
fact,
right.
was. Yep.
That's fair.
He was both.
Lightning.
What I think really cool about Lee was he was actually like born and alive when this whole story was being written
He
and
was the
published.
out of all of the cast, he was the only person to actually meet Tolkien.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was also present at the last execution by guillotine. If you didn't know, there's your Snapple
Oh yeah,
fact for the
yeah.
day.
I heard about that too. It was insane. No, Christopher Lee, man.
That
Brother
dude
went through
lived
it.
a lot.
he lived a fucking life. I'll tell you that. Because
Full life, man. Watching a man get beheaded, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, like serving in I think he served in multiple wars. He
was knighted by the Queen.
Yeah, he was knighted.
Although that's not very hard to do. Elton John is knighted. So
I mean, for
He didn't. He was born in 2020 or not 2022, 1922. Jesus Christ, I'm having a stroke. So I mean, he was definitely World War II. Looks like he was just World War II. He discharged in 46.
okay, I didn't know if that's
So-
why maybe he fought in something else as well, but I guess not.
yeah, he fought in the trenches in Lord of the Rings, dude. Are you kidding me?
Mhm, yeah.
He got his ass beat by Gandalf.
Is your camera just down, James, or
Oh shit, I forgot to turn it back on. My bad.
okay?
Wanted to finish my bowl of mac and cheese.
No, but
I can't.
My
It's a solid
daughter,
thing.
my daughter made it for me. Had to eat it.
Now, what some people actually don't know about Lord of the Rings is Billy Boyd, who plays Pippin, actually did compose some of the music for like the Lord of the Rings like universe.
If you
'Cause
pay
he
attention
actually-
to in the first movie during Bilbo's party, he's actually one of the guitarists playing in the band in the background.
Mhm.
oh, that's cool. Yeah,
The
the most that I know about Lord of the Rings has always been memes, because they did give us one of the biggest memes.
Boromir.
The
One does
longest
not
time.
simply walk into Mordor.
Yeah, that whole one does not simply, one of the biggest memes for
Dude. I've talked about it on
generations.
the channel too, dude. Still one of my favorite meme formats, dude.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that shit.
One does not simply. That was a huge fucking meme for so long. But then I think there was like a meme going like with like the orcs, and that battle was like, we got the meats or whatever. Meats
Meat's
back,
back on the menu, boys.
Yeah. That, and then there's a whole bunch of memes, and then the whole thing where that actor kicked the helmet and broke his toe. or
Vigo
whatever. Yeah.
broke his toe kicking a helmet.
Literally broke his
Hey, that
fucking foot.
Hold on.
Vigo also bought a horse because she couldn't afford it.
Oh, that's cool.
He's
Actually, like Viggo
really
Mortensen
nice
is
guy.
a very wholesome individual. He's just
Yeah, he's awesome.
he's a people person. He's just very kind of salt of the earth type deal. Like I've watched a lot of interviews with him. He's one
He
of
speaks-
my
He
top
speaks
10 actors.
6 or 7 languages fluently.
And one of them actually is Elvin from Lord of the Rings.
That's cool.
Also, like when they were teaching all the actors like sword play and all that, he was like, "I'm not going to use a prop sword. I'm going to use a real sword."
Motherfucker slept
And
with
so,
it.
Mhm.
when he's fighting that Uruk-hai towards the end of the first one, and you see him like take his knife or his sword and deflect a blade. That was actually legit. Someone
It was
actually
yeah, I heard
it was
about
a
that.
real arrow.
Yeah.
Because
So, like,
It was
that
a
was
real
a
arrow
live
they
weapon.
shot by accident. He fully deflected it. Yeah,
that's
saved
crazy.
his own life. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
do remember watching something about that. I thought that was pretty insane. Yeah, like I said,
Talk about authenticity, though.
yeah, everything that I know about that movie is just behind the scenes shit. I don't know the story at all. I know it through like memes, because like the one with like Orlando Bloom, and he's like, to Isengard, that one. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Like they made
yeah,
the
yeah.
song.
Or it was the other one was at the beginning of I think it was the beginning of Two Towers. Or maybe it was the third one. Again, I don't remember when things happened, but it was Aragorn talking to Legolas. He was up in the hills and he was like, "Legolas, what do your elven eyes see?"
Oh yeah, yeah. I just know the movie.
It's like
through
it's so
memes.
racist, man.
Or like the one like I always see like a gif of uh
Ian
Ian
McKellen.
McKellen's character, and it's like he's just sitting there like rocking his head back and forth with his mouth
yeah.
open and shit like that. It's just a gif. It's shit, and it's so funny, dude. It's fucking hilarious. I like legitimately only know this movie through memes. I like, but I'm sitting here like since we're like talking about it and everything, like trying to think like if I could give it a chance. You know what I mean? And it's like, I know it's beloved. I know it's not terrible, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I could give Lord of the Rings that full true-hearted try.
The thing about Lord of the Rings now is there's a lot more media to consume than just the 6 movies. They also have the 2 seasons of the Rings of Power to watch as well.
Oh, they
I
got a
have not
show?
watched Why.
Yep, there's a show on Prime.
When did that
Yeah,
come
they
out?
launched the show about a year. What was it, like 2 or 3 years ago? They started it.
It was a while ago. I know that.
I feel like that was
Um,
just like, I mean, granted, it just might be because I'm not in that realm of, people, but I feel like that just went under the radar because I knew nothing about that. I didn't know they even made
Well,
it.
I mean, if you really pay attention, then
But like when it
if you are a
premiered,
big fan of
like,
if you're a big
oh my
fan of it,
God.
you're gonna know if it comes.
It was kind of like
It was so
how,
the
how
Rings
like
of
they
Power. The Rings of Power is the story of Galadriel and Celebrimbor. It goes more in depth to Celebrimbor in his years alive.
Mhm.
like the hype for Rings of Power kind of almost mirrored like what's going on right now with the TV show relaunch of Harry Potter. Like a lot of people were against it because like, look, you gave us a great product, now you're capitalizing on it too much and you're going to screw it up, so just stop.
Oh, did it get like, is it woke?
I haven't seen it, but that was kind of like
No.
the feel I remember when it was like being advertised that it was happening.
So is
No,
it like
it's not.
but it's not, they're not changing it as a mainline shit. It's just like they're playing into.
They're filling holes.
Okay.
They're filling
Yeah,
holes
there's
in the
still
story.
holes and adding to it, but it's like whenever they try to do that, I feel like a lot of people are like, "Look, you already ended it. Leave it be. We just you're going to screw it up somehow if you don't just leave it be." Because like I know a
So
lot of
season
right,
1 came out in
Harry Potter.
2022, and season 2 came out in 2024.
See, so like stuff like that, when you're filling plot holes, or if you're filling stuff, or if you're doing things, because I mean I get it. One, you're wanting to make a show, you're wanting to make some money, and you're wanting to carry on, a story that's beloved. Lord of the Rings is beloved, and you want to create something beloved by people and shit. I get it, but it's whenever you start dabbling into like reconstructing this franchise that's been around for, and it's just speak purely on the movies and not on the books, but still decades, like 2 decades, because what you said, it came out in 2001. So yeah, it's been 2 decades since that movie came out. And
The Hobbit came out after.
And really, The Hobbit should have come out first.
well, no,
But-
I'm just saying. I'm just saying Lord of the Rings as a IP. You know what I mean? And as a movie and shit like that. So like, because that's what I was saying. Because obviously the Harry Potter TV show or whatever is completely fucking changing everything, and it's just like, oh, this is a different retelling, or we're redoing everything because we want to appease everybody, and it. So I mean, I guess if you're wanting to fill holes and stuff like that, and expand certain people, because I mean, obviously, I'm sure those characters haven't gotten talked about much. I think.
Yeah, to the cinematic adaptations of them, right? No, they haven't.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Galadriel
saying.
only showed up a handful, or once in the original trilogy, and then in the Hobbit movies, she showed up a couple times, but she's like one of the main characters in the Rings of Power.
Yeah,
And so is Elrond. Elrond is actually who's the king of Rivendell.
because it's like the same like with like the Harry Potter and like the Fantastic Beasts movies where they're showing whatever that old bastard's name is.
There's
You
a
know-
few old bastards in that.
The main
Yeah.
old
Dumbledore?
bastard that runs
Dumbledore,
Dumbledore.
Harry Potter's Gandalf.
Yeah. Well, because I mean they're very
Potter's-
similar characters. Like you can't lie.
I mean, it's an old wizard. Doesn't
Dumbledore
get
and Gandalf are one of the two. You know what I mean? They're one of the same.
You know, actually, here's the thing: Gandalf is actually a demigod.
Oh, really?
He was
Okay,
created by the
fair.
Almighty.
How would you say that's fair?
Because there's only 4 of them in existence, right? So there's Gandalf.
No, there's 5 because you have Saruman the White, you have the 2 blue
Oh
wizards.
well, yeah. So the blue ones were an exception because they were twins, right? But there's technically
They
only
didn't really cover that very much. They just mentioned them, but they didn't really cover it because then you have
Well, they
Radagast.
covered it, but they're
Brown
covered in
and
the books, though.
Gray.
They're covered in the Silmarillion actually, but
Okay, I haven't watched.
because the blue twins were on the east, where Sauron, most of his army came from. Remember the Oliphants? That's where the East Warriors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So most of the movies happened in the west, whereas in the east was all basically Sauron's territory. And 2 of the blue wizards, both of the blue wizards, the twins, were basically fighting against Sauron over there while everything was happening in the west, which is why you don't really hear much about them. But then there's also Radagast the Brown, there's Gandalf the Grey, and there's
Radagast.
Saruman the White. Smoking some old Toby.
Oh yeah.
That's what they called weed in the Third Age. Old Toby.
Toby's
Finest
what they call
weed
me in
in
high
South
school.
Mid.
Because I watched the first Lord of the Rings like 2 days ago because I couldn't fall asleep for work, so I was like, okay, screw it, I need some background noise. What can I just play? Oh look, all the Lord of the Rings right now are on Prime for free. Put it on. So yeah.
I don't know. I think that was like simultaneously of like whenever you were asking me about being on this episode and shit. Yeah. Dude, that was like my thing whenever I was going into this episode. I was like, well, do I do research or do I do what? And I was just like, I don't like. It was one of those things of like we were talking about trying to get. So, well, okay. I want to say that. Like, do you think? So, just as a movie, do you think Lord of the Rings, like, if you were to have, not me, but somebody else, like, watch Lord of the Rings, do you think it still stands up today? Like, you know, people could still get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why
Do
you
you think that the story and everything in the world of Lord of the Rings is still compelling enough for you to have somebody watch it that's never seen it 20
Yeah.
years later, over 20 years later?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that it's it's above all else a compelling story. Genuinely. I mean, even if you're not into high fantasy or anything like that, the story itself and the dramatic things that happen in the movies, I mean, even if you're not into like, you know, all of these mythical creatures that show up and stuff like that, the story alone that all these characters go through is incredible. It's really fun stuff.
I mean, my little niece, she loves it. You know, she's like 4 or 5 years old, and she loves it. So
Because your niece is a dork.
Nerd.
she's adorable. Leave her alone.
Adorkable.
Got him.
Yeah, she's adorable. Yeah, she's
No, I do think Lord of the Rings, no matter how old you are, is very fun, or how late to the game you are. You know what I mean? I think it's they're good watches, man. Genuinely.
I'll say at least they haven't got the Disney treatment. You know what I mean? And
Well, they're not a Disney product, baby.
Yeah.
That's all
that
WB.
title is exclusively for 90s babies, in my opinion. The true Disney.
Now, how would you feel if they made another one? Like they
I
decided
like
to,
it.
like they decided to expand off and make another because all the movies that came out were based off of books, right?
Mhm.
So how would you feel if they made another movie now that there's no more books to go off of and this is a
Oh, but there's plenty.
what?
We've only covered The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Tolkien has written a lot more than just that. The Silmarillion alone is 1,500 pages, and that covers the first and second era. And all of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings take place in the third era, brother.
That's all the same like universe.
Yeah. Yep. So The Hobbit is the story of Bilbo Baggins. Okay. And by the time that the Lord of the Rings starts, Bilbo is only 111 years old. So there's roughly around 60, 70 years in between Bilbo getting the ring and all of the stuff that happens in The Hobbit to the beginning of the Lord of the Rings.
So what Tolkien did was, during his time in World War One, he basically created this entire fantasy universe. It's not just Lord of the Rings or Hobbits. It's actually the universe of, it's called Middle Earth. And there's different stories, like James was saying. You've got the fall of Gondolin, which that was actually
the time before. There was even a time before humans and elves existed.
Mm-hmm. So
There's
like,
a time
and
before
then
dwarves existed because elves were created by another god, another god, and so then there was the age of when just elves existed, and then another god created dwarves, but he created them without permission from Iluvatar, who is the big god, like the daddy of all gods, who created everything. Iluvatar created the gods, and Iluvatar then created the elves, and one of his children, one of the gods, was jealous and wanted to create his own race, so he created dwarves. But he did it without permission because he didn't have the key to life. So he created these like monstrosities, right? And so then Iluvatar was like, well, he created them with life, so I'm going to give them life. And then he created the dwarves. And then humans came much later after that. And then hobbits after that.
I'm trying to find the list, all of his.
So it's kind of like
his
Elder Scrolls in its own,
Yeah,
world.
he
like you have
built
Skyrim, Oblivion, and they're all tied in the same universe.
Yeah, so Tolkien created his an entire mythos for Lord of the Rings and shit, right?
Okay.
So
Well,
there's all kinds of stuff that existed before all of that.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is like they make another Lord of the Rings, and it's still like they reference what happens with Sam and Frodo and everything else like that, but like it's a completely original, new, not based off of anything that he created. That's the original. Like some writer decided to create something, and how do you think you would feel about that?
It depends. It really like depends. Because so there was a game on the PlayStation called The War in the North, which was basically about this adventuring party that was working in tandem with the Fellowship. So basically, you were like a little ways behind the Fellowship, kind of cleaning up the mess, right? So you were, and so like the story in War in the North happened like alongside the Fellowship. The problem with it is like not a lot of that game made sense because eagles were all through that game, and eagles are demigods themselves. So like it just I don't know. So like I said, it just depends on what kind of adaptation they're trying to do, really.
Yeah, like it's not like an expansion on anything that's already been talked about. Like it's just like a brand new story type shit.
I mean, genuinely, from the sound of what you're describing, it just sounds like you're creating a new IP that's kind of like Lord of the Rings.
No, like
because if it's not referencing,
it's just not based off of anything that he created. So it's still Lord of the Rings universe, still Middle Earth, but like it's not, because like obviously Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movie, like those are all based off of the books and something. So now, but it's you take a director and he's taking it in his own hands and creating his own Lord of the Rings story and shit.
Like I said, it would just depend on like how close he stays to the timeline, really. Like if he's jumping, whoever really is jumping all over the place with like events and stuff like that, and like making inconsistencies, then of course I'm not gonna like it. But as long as it stays.
Now, I guess the big one is, how would you feel about a reboot?
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it at all.
Because I know, because obviously, like we're in that era of like filmmaking where reboots are happening, nonstop and shit like that. So I don't know how you.
Yeah, but they
where
don't
you
happen
feel-
to big. They don't happen to big franchises like that.
No,
You know what
they
I
don't
mean?
happen to huge ones. They happen to
Tiny
I don't know.
ones.
Yeah.
RoboCop.
RoboCop. The new RoboCop wasn't bad actually. As somebody that loves RoboCop, it wasn't actually a bad.
But it
remake.
was a reboot.
Yeah. But
I mean, it's like there's nothing innately wrong with doing reboots. You know what I mean? It's just as long as they're done right. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't. I don't think it matters. I mean, because even before the Lord of the Rings movies, like the cinema was out, there were play adaptations and there were like operatic adaptations to Lord of the
No.
Rings. So like,
I'm sure
as long as they stay in the parameters of that universe, right? And they don't create inconsistencies and they don't make just dumb assumptions or whatever, right? As long as they stay true, I think it'll be perfectly fine.
Okay. A thing that just popped into my head that I have a question about. What is with the eye of Sauron? Like the whole eye on the top of the thing that looks around and like does he like the big old death beam or whatever?
So, no, Cameron also addressed this. He says that he hated that he did it, right? But so basically, the Eye of Sauron is not a thing at all. It was just a cinematic adaptation of the presence of Sauron. So during that time, Sauron did not have a physical form. He was kind of just this ethereal existence. And during that time, I think it was, I don't remember what they called it, but there was a plague going on during that time when Sauron lost his finger and he didn't have a physical form anymore. So basically, the eye never existed, really. And in The Hobbit, you can see that the eye was, they kind of retconned it a little bit, where you can see Sauron stepping out of the eye, this black figure, what they called the necromancer at the time. He steps out of the eye and stuff, all that kind of stuff. But originally, no, the eye never really existed.
Who's sharing their screen?
Yep, that. He was talking about the eye, so I just pulled it up to show you, in case you didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually going to keep that as a background.
Very cool. No, yeah. So the eye doesn't actually exist. But
Oh, well, because like I just memes and seeing shit. I didn't know if like
yeah, that was
something
actually
like-
a cinematic adaptation thing.
like if he actually like looked around with that, if that was like something that went on or like what, or like
No, so the most that Sauron ever did during that time period was he was looking through Palantirs, which are like seeing stones, which are hard to explain because you haven't seen the movies. But Gandalf and one of the hobbits actually get a hold of one of the Palantirs from Sauron, and that's how,
Pippin, his little
Pippin.
stupid self.
So
Scottie
he-
Pippen.
They get a hold of a Palantir, and that's how Sauron kind of controlled a lot of the stuff. Because again, the eye doesn't exist. They get the idea of the eye was there for cinematic purposes because they wanted Sauron to have some kind of form, right? So they came up with the eye. But
So what? Like
in
Homeboy
books-
just gets a finger chopped off, and then like he just becomes a spirit.
yeah, because he's technically immortal. He's technically immortal until he's like his entire his creative, everything that makes him is gone. His soul, his will, his physical being.
Well,
As long as
also,
that still exists, then
why
he will
just
exist.
him getting his finger cut off make him do that?
Because it's separated.
He's a coward. Basically, he is an ethereal.
Like-
Go ahead, Aaron.
Like the ring is his life force. His self and being is tied to that ring.
So the
So
only thing that
when
makes
that
him
ring-
corporeal is that ring. So without him
No.
wearing that ring,
No,
is
he
not-
chooses to be corporeal, but because he lost the ring just then, he cowered and left. He
Yeah.
disapparated his body and retreated.
Mm-hmm.
but
Now-
he could just come back as a physical being.
It takes-
with, like missing
It
a
takes
finger.
time. It takes a lot of time, but yeah, he can
He
come
also
back.
needs the ring too, because that's kind of like the whole premise is we can't let the enemy get a hold of the ring again.
Because then Sauron would be complete, and then he would be the ultimate evil again.
Okay. So yeah, I'm just trying to like
Yeah.
make sense of like how he just like gets one finger cut off and he just disappeared. So like, is it the ring that gives him the power, and like without that ring, he's just
Yeah.
not as strong?
So
or?
the ring gives him control over. Well, so the ring wraiths were original. There are 9 ring wraiths, which were all kings of the lands of men, right?
Yeah.
So he used that one ring to corrupt all of those ring bearers. So then they became the ring wraiths. He made, I think, a total of 6 or 7 rings for the dwarves, but the dwarves were too foolhardy and strong to be corrupted in a way, but they became crazy greedy. And it really shows when you like get into Moria and stuff like that.
Universe.
What was that?
And then he created.
In that universe, a lot of beings in the Lord of the Rings universe, so like elves and Baron, he's a shapeshifter in The Hobbit. They actually don't like dwarves because they're greedy and they disregard the well-being of others in quest
Sauron.
for. Yeah, so
Sauron's actually a shapeshifter as well.
To kind of give you something to parallel it with, Ryan, think of it in terms of Voldemort and his Horcruxes. So
he doesn't know anything about that.
I mean, I know enough of that. I know what that is. I know what the Horcruxes are. And all that shit.
Like when that curse rebounded and then Voldemort turned into the spirit thing, like he was alive but he wasn't dead. Like that's kind of like a parallel. You can use it to kind of compare.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, okay. For some reason, our stream is only streaming at 1080. I mean, 720. What's up with that?
I don't know. I've noticed it keeps kind of like glitching a little bit.
I can tell by the coloring, honestly.
Why are we only streaming at 720? Probably because I re-downloaded. I got a new PC, so pretty much. So I have to probably go back through the settings and reset everything. Huh?
To Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Baby girl Garrett over there. So I had to re-download Streamlabs and everything, so I probably have to go back through. So apologize for the quality. Apologize for everything kind of being weird. I have to reset up everything. Like even my Stream Deck is completely blank because I have to redo everything in it. Because I said fuck putting everything on a hard drive and pulling it over to the new one. I wanted to start completely fresh, and that's what I have to do. So I didn't want to deal with all of it. I didn't want to, I just want to start it.
And here we are, fresh. Paying the price.
Paying the piper. I got it. I'll figure it out. No. But yeah, no, I just wanted to make sense of like how this powerful being just, got a phalange cut off and was just like, oh no, I can't do it anymore. Right off. So, so
I mean, because ultimately Sauron is a coward. He's just too scared to like do anything himself. He would rather have everything put in perfect place and in the way he wants it to guarantee his victory. And if any one thing goes wrong, he loses all of it.
So, like, because like I'm just like understand like I don't understand like him getting his finger cut off. Why he couldn't have just kept fighting and got his finger back? You know what I mean? So I'm thinking that's what's going in my head.
I don't really know that they explain that.
It's just like, okay, you got your finger cut off. Why'd you stop fighting? You could have kept fighting. You're still a fucking demigod,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
a biatch.
Keep fighting. At least grab the ring and then run away.
Fear, I guess.
You could have if it was that easy for you to escape, then it would have been that easy for you to grab the finger and then escape.
Well, it's not easy for him to make a new body. It takes a very long time for him to get a new body.
So what? So the moment that finger got cut off, his body just disappeared.
That moment his finger got cut off, he chose to disappear. He chose to scrap his body and leave.
So that's what I'm saying. Like he could have easily like kept the body for a second, grabbed the finger, and then did that whole thing.
It could have, but like I said, he's a coward.
What a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
That just that's just the part that makes like little to no sense to me of like why he just like left it behind if it was all so powerful and you had a moment to do that. I don't know. Granted, like I said, I haven't watched the movie, so I don't know if there was like circumstances in which stopped him from being able to do so. But
I mean, he's the only one that can really wield the power of the ring, right? So like, I mean, because like everyone else that has the ring, it gives them the ability to turn invisible, right?
That's it,
But
right?
outside of
It doesn't give them any other powers. Like they can go.
I mean, it
invisible.
corrupts them. It corrupts them to evil. But I mean, whether you interpret that as a power or not isn't completely up to you. But it just turns them invisible, and it gives Sauron. It's basically a fucking light to Sauron. It tells him where you are, and then the ring wraiths follow very shortly after.
Yeah, because like in the first movie, Frodo puts it on, and you see the eye is looking one way, and then it feels it, and it turns and looks right on him where he's at. But ironically, you just said something, James, that I was literally wondering yesterday. Why is it that it doesn't make Sauron invisible when he wears it, but everybody else, instead of giving them like this
Because he's a
giant
demigod.
power, it just makes him invisible? Why invisible? Like,
yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
I don't particularly know why it turns them invisible. I'm sure it's explained somewhere, but I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I think it brings them into the wraith world, the ring world, I guess you could say. So this is the whole point. Is like at some point.
is that a question?
So
did they see something on a different plane whenever you're on in that?
this is what I was about. This is what I'm about to get to actually. So there's a certain part in the first movie, the Fellowship of the Ring, where Aragorn saves the hobbits from the ring wraiths, and they end up on this big ass like plateaued mountain, right? And they're making camp and shit like that, and then the ring wraiths attack again, and Frodo slips the ring on. Well, in that moment when he slips the ring on, he enters the wraith world, and he can see the ring wraiths for who they actually are as wraiths, and he can see their like spectral faces and stuff like that. So when it turns them invisible, it basically makes them mock wraiths, like faux wraiths.
Okay, but it doesn't give them like the ability of a wraith or any other.
No.
See that's where like, and this is me as somebody that's never watched it that's going to critique it. Because like you can do the same thing with Star Wars. I'm fully aware before anybody gets in the chat or before any of you fuckers try to say anything about Star Wars. I understand Star Wars has its inconsistencies and has problems, 1,000%. But
Then the inconsistencies and problems with Lord of the Rings shouldn't be an issue for you.
But I'm still going to speak it. You know what I mean? And also, we are
Sure.
doing a show, so we got to talk about it. No.
Yeah, I know we're doing a
like-
show. I have a camera in front of my face, dumb fuck.
But my thing is like, turning invisible is cool. I can see it
all
being very useful. You know what I mean? But the fact, because I'm sure at some point they learned that the ring corrupts people. At that point, it don't really give you much of a reason to keep the damn thing. That's why I'm like why as a human, like I understand keeping it away from Sauron and and all that stuff because he's gonna whatever dry fuck the world and do everything like that. But like it as a normal person, like there's really no point in keeping the damn thing. It's kind of a
Well, I mean,
not useless,
for-
but like the benefit doesn't weigh out the consequence of it.
This is where the corruption comes in. A lot of the time the corruption takes such a grasp on them that they don't have a choice but to keep it.
I guess
So like it's like Sauron's will telling you to keep the ring because he doesn't want it destroyed and he doesn't want it lost to the
obviously
world.
the
He
light
wants it
will help him find you. So it's like keep
right.
it. Like this ring is going to kill you, but like you
Yeah.
don't know that. It's keeping it you know
Right.
safe for me, and I know exactly where it's. Because so does he. When somebody puts it on,
It's
because
a
like Aaron,
beacon
you said that
immediately.
the eye just went immediately to him. So it's only when people are wearing it does he have an actual idea
Yeah,
of
when
where
they-
it's at.
Right. Yeah, when they
Yeah,
physically
like
have it on.
Negan, but like if someone's not actively wearing it and they're just like have it in their pocket, or like Frodo wears it around his neck all the time, he doesn't know where it is. But if you put it on, it's like a flare to wherever you're at.
Mhm.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to understand the world that is Middle Earth and what's going on. So now let's talk about the Shire. Is the Shire just for the hobbits? This is where they live.
Mhm.
And
The Shire's where I want to retire. I mean, come on
it looks
now,
very
you know.
pretty.
First breakfast, second breakfast, 11sies, lunch, tea, dinner, supper. Like,
That's the diet of a hobbit.
be socially acceptable to be a fat
It's actually
shit.
how many times they eat a day,
Mhm.
genuinely. No, so the
They live
Shire, the Shire is, yeah, it's just the land of the hobbits. There's a peaceful people that don't really know the ways of war, so they live as far west as you can, away from most of the war that happens in the Third Age.
Hmm. So what's Sauron's like end goal? Is his goal just to rule Middle Earth, or is he just like trying to destroy Middle Earth,
Yeah.
or is he
His goal is to rule all of Middle Earth.
why
like they
doesn't
literally call so when they go through the rings at the beginning, 3 were given to the elf lords, 7 were given to the dwarf lords.
now do those rings
9 were
do different things than the one
Yeah.
Sauron's?
They do.
Do we
yeah,
know
but
what
when they
do?
get around to
I'd have to look them up again, but I know that the 3 rings for the elves actually do like have specific abilities. The dwarf and the human rings do not. They were just a sign of status.
Because I didn't know if like that was like talked about. But so with Sauron wanting to destroy, like take over Middle Earth and everything, why doesn't you talked about like God? They're like their God. Why doesn't he step in and stop it? Or is it
He doesn't intervene.
because like it's one of his children, right? Sauron is a demigod, one of his children that he created. So I don't know, like why he doesn't.
So
just, like,
the
step in.
individual, so the ring of fire, Narya, was given to Gandalf, and his power was to kindle hope and resist tyranny, which is why Gandalf uses a lot of fire magic. Nenya, the ring of water, was given to Galadriel, and its power was to preserve her realm of Lothlorien. Basically, so her realm is not touched by any evil because of her ring. It would preserve her realm of Lothlorien, right? So Vilya, the ring of air, was given to Elrond, and its power was to maintain the beauty of Rivendell.
Kind of weird powers for a ring.
well, and then like from what I'm seeing, the dwarf lords, their like that theirs wasn't the names and powers wasn't known for the dwarfs or for the men.
Yeah, they, like I said, they were just like signs of status.
Yeah, they're just peasants. Nobody cares about them. It was all about the
Simmer
elf.
down, not the dwarf boys.
This is very
Oh, wait,
strange
hold
for
on.
like oh here's this godly ring, but this godly ring all it does is, you know, I mean I guess like it protects it's an artifact that protects your realm.
Okay.
So I guess whenever I think of it that way, because like when I'm thinking like wear this magical ring and it grants you power, like oh what's the power? It keeps your shit clean. You know what I mean? It's just like oh okay. It's not necessarily a power, but
The rings were designed to give. So I don't know a whole lot about Gandalf's ring, but
yeah,
the 2
his
rings,
seems to be the only
Galadriel.
one that gives someone like a power.
Well, Galadriel
Well,
can summon
so
like
for-
shields and stuff like that. You see that a lot in the Hobbit movie. You'll see Galadriel actually in combat using her powers. And then, well, with Elrond is a warrior, so he doesn't. I don't think you really see much of him using his elven magic, or even his ring, to be honest. But again, I haven't read the books in a long time, so I mean they could be referenced in those quite a bit, but I don't really remember.
I don't recall it being referenced.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Besides
go ahead.
when it explains, 3 for the elves, 7 for the dwarfs, 9 for the men. That's the only thing I really recall. But the Silmarillion, or however you say it, I haven't read that one. James, I know you said you have.
Yeah.
Something I'm looking at right now is so like for the elves, the specific like the specific powers was to heal and preserve and protect.
Yeah, well, because
Now,
those 3 rings for the elves were made from Silmarils.
and then like the dwarfs, their rings were specifically to gain wealth. That's something that the dwarfs are very well known for. And then for men, it was visibility, extended lifespan, and terror. Now, each one of these have a negative effect on the ring bearer.
Which was how Sauron started taking power over these ring bearers, except the elves. The only thing that Sauron could do with the elves is read their minds, which was still incredibly helpful, but it wasn't like the humans, because Sauron took complete control of the humans, the human lord, the human ring bearers. Anyways, the dwarves were incorruptible, but it made them incredibly greedy. They just dug way too deep. And in Moria, you see how far they dig when they unleash a Balrog.
The hell's that?
Which is a demon.
Oh.
Big ass demon prince.
You remember that "you shall not pass" thing with Gandalf with the giant fire demon that looked like it came out of Doom? That's the Balrog. It's basically a giant fire demon.
That's another meme from the movies.
wild.
That's like the only other thing that I knew.
You shall not pass. Fly, you fools.
I don't know how I feel about that in my ears.
That was actually a side effect to the dwarf rings, was greed and anger. For the elves, it was nostalgia and procrastination, which kind of makes sense because, in The Hobbit, Thorin was talking about how no help came from the elves or anything. Like they're procrastinating.
Well, the elves of Mistwood weren't a ring bearer.
Oh yeah, with Thranduil.
Thranduil was just a piece of shit. That's all that his issue was.
That's fair.
Legolas's dad, Thranduil, is a fucking dick.
That the guy that played Red Skull and played in
that is Elrond.
No, that was Hugo Weaving.
Elrond, Hugo Weaving.
Yeah,
Elrond
that's
runs. He's the king of Rivendell, which is real big. It plays a real big because it's the elven passage to the lands that never die, or the everlasting lands, or something like that. Basically, that's where elves go to retire.
Oh, so elven nursing home.
Yeah, basically. But so the Mistwood is Thranduil, or Legolas's dad's kingdom.
Do that.
Yeah, that's Thranduil.
Yep. That's Thranduil. He's kind of a dick, but in the deleted scene, you kind of get his douchiness explained.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, but still, fuck that guy.
Now, the chick that played Hela in Thor,
Galadriel.
Yeah, I was about to say, who is she?
Hela.
Uma Thurman. Is it Uma Thurman? No, it's not Uma Thurman.
What's her name?
I don't remember the actress's name. I just know that she was in Lord of the Rings.
Kate Blanchett. Kate Blanchett, baby.
But
she plays Galadriel. She is she's the queen of Lothlorien.
No, okay, so she's just a queen. So does she also have a ring, or?
Yeah, she is one of the ring bearers. Yeah.
And so her, what was her the one to protect?
The shield, the one that protects. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, yeah, that was my thing too. I didn't even know that there was other rings. I thought there was just the ring, because like the statement, the one to rule them all.
And that's where
So-
where the whole thing was. Is he made 3 rings for the elves, 7 rings for the dwarves, 9 rings for the men, and 1 ring for himself to rule, to bind, and to enslave.
And that's the one that Sam.
That's
has.
the one Sauron has. That's the one Sauron wants, anyways.
The one that got cut off of his finger.
Right.
Okay.
And the only way to destroy that ring was in the fires of Mount Doom.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know. Because I've always just heard, one ring to rule them all. So I didn't know
Yeah.
what the hell
And
that
in the
meant.
darkness, bind them.
Because I thought maybe like in the one ring to rule them all is just like, to rule, the world type shit. Like it gave them like
Yeah.
immense powers and all this other shit or whatever. Not that
Oh,
there's-
there's another ring created actually. If you, I don't know if these games are canon or not, but the Shadow of Mordor games, and Shadow of War, Celebrimbor actually makes another one ring to fight Sauron's ring. But like I said, I don't know if it's a canon ring or not.
probably not. Most games are.
Yeah, probably not.
There's very few games that are actually canon to the main thing.
I mean, they do reference a lot of like canon shit. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. You got games like
Stupid dog right now.
games like Force Unleashed where you just murder the entire OG cast.
Yeah,
That game did not give a shit. It murdered everybody.
everyone was.
You
there.
even you
Starkiller killed stars.
You kill Obi-Wan twice. You kill him like normal, and then you kill his Force ghosts after that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you said Obi-Wan. That just I seen this yesterday. Did you know that the dude that plays Obi-Wan has a brother, and he's in the British Air Force, and his call sign is Obi-2.
Yeah.
That's
heard
just
of
kind
that.
of like, oh, you're always going to be known as the second brother.
Well, yeah. Whenever your big brother or whatever, I don't even know. Like, regardless of big or little, your brother is fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, you're gonna be the second one. Like you just, I'm sorry, you're not the favorite.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not the
Yeah.
favorite. Wild. Did you know, actually, speaking of like famous brothers, did you know Tom Hanks' brothers handles all like the toys and stuff? It's not actually Tom Hanks' voice doing that. It's his
Yeah.
brother.
His brother
Jim.
Jim Hanks. Yeah, no.
Wait,
those-
what
funny.
was it?
Jim Hanks does the voice of like all the Woody toys from like Toy Story.
Don't you dare ruin my childhood.
Too late. Get fucked.
I'm sure Tom Hanks did a couple of the actual
No.
ones, but
No shot. No shot.
well, I'm sure like when the movie first came out, I'm sure he
I guess
did
they
the
could have
voice.
took sound bites, but yeah.
Yeah, and obviously that's what they should have did. I don't know why they even. That's the thing I never understood about those toys. Like, why the hell are you making somebody record shit when you're having him say things that he said in the movie?
He's getting his brother work, man. All right.
Yeah, I get it, but as like you know,
No, we're going to put this one to rest. Tom Hanks did Woody's voice for all the Toy Story movies. Jim Hanks did it for Toy Story Treats. And then Ross Finbow did Footballer's Wife's Extra Time.
the fuck is
I
that?
don't know
I
what
don't
the
know.
fuck you're talking about.
I don't know what that one is, but hold on, what is this? Playing Woody in the ITV2 drama Footballer's Wife Extra Time.
What?
I don't
That-
think this is Toy Story, man.
I think you're talking about a weird porno.
Oh,
Porno.
no. I googled who did the voice of Woody, and it, of course, Google.
Yikes, bud.
Is it?
Wrong
Yeah,
search
that
bar.
That was a British TV show, but
Clear your search history.
Throw your whole computer out.
All right, is there any other Lord of the Rings questions, brother?
No, I mean not really necessarily for me, unless you guys have ones for yourselves or or for me in regards of like Lord of the Rings.
I mean, would you watch it?
Would I?
All
I
right.
don't know.
Why?
That's a big maybe. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's just like I said, it's just not my cup of tea. I'm more into, like I said, the sci-fi shit, or I'm more into like I like what we're like. I'm watching The Walking Dead right now. The Walking Dead to me is a lot more interesting than Lord of the Rings.
It's fair.
You know, I think this whole zombie survival apocalypse thing is cooler than, you know, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, does Lord of the Rings have a bunch of cool shit? Like, you got wizards, you got magic, you got dragons, you got orcs.
You got orcs, you got Uruk-hai, you got goblins,
But like, and like, yeah, The
you
Walking
got
Dead
the ogres.
has a
What's the
hillbilly.
big ogre? What are the big ogres called? No, fuck. I forget what they're actually called.
Big
Ooks.
ogres.
Because
Big ogres.
trolls are also in Lord of the Rings, but they are allergic to sunlight and they turn to stone.
Yeah.
Isn't that like an actual
Like-
troll thing?
I mean, it depends on the mythos, but
Like,
yeah,
in the-
usually.
Yeah, I was like, in the lore of trolls. Could be wrong. But yeah, like I was saying, a couple hillbillies and this hillbilly cop and his weird one-eyed son and shit
I
like
feel
that.
like
Granted, he's not one-eyed yet, and I only know that through memes and shit. But
Oh yeah. So there's a difference between ogres and Olog High. Olog High are sick, dude. So there's orcs, right? Your standard definition orcs. And then you have your Uruk-hai, which are made completely different and with elven blood. Okay? And then you have ogres ogres, which are just like these normal big ass half giant
Shrek.
motherfuckers. And then you have Olog High, which are just ogres but with some smarts to them.
oh, they're just smarter.
And they are, oh, dude, large, powerful, and brutal orcs, often acting as shock troops and commanders. So basically, Olog High are a mix between an ogre and an orc.
Oh, so they're
That's
like they got bronze and brains, pretty much.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they're not very smart, but they're a lot smarter than ogres.
They're the Stephen Hawking of their own race.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Olog High are very cool though.
No, like I was saying, that type of shit, you know, them surviving and, you know, doing their thing is more interesting to me than, you know, couple short kings fighting with swords and daggers and shit like that and wizards and stuff like that. I don't know. It just, none of that shit has ever piqued my interest. I don't know why. It's not like I'm not like one of those like sci-fi or Star Wars fans that's like, oh, fuck the Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? I'm not talking like that. I'm just saying, to me, it just, and me personally, it just doesn't seem like a fun time for me. I'll
tell you what you should do. You should watch the entire Goblin Town section in the Hobbit movies and then make your decision upon that.
Okay, that's solid advice. That's a pretty good section.
Because it's my favorite section in the Hobbit movies, hands
I
down.
like the sassiness of the Goblin King.
The Goblin King.
Yeah.
Down to Goblin Town. It's just, he does this.
Neck fat.
Yeah, he's got this weird bulbous neck thing, and he's super sassy while also being like 3 times the size of a normal goblin, right? But he also does a lot of shit like super prissy and sing-songy, and it's it's so fun, man.
Who's a sassy little Goblin King?
Yeah, it was a wild time. It was fun.
It's better than all the goblins being fucking bank tellers and shit like that in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I said though, right? It's like it depends on the mythos. It depends on the mythos and depending on like what is a smart race and what's not, what's a savage race and what's not.
See, that's what I'm trying to think, and like what I would probably be more into. I'm trying to think if I would be more into Lord of the Rings than Harry Potter, because like I said, I've seen all the Harry Potters. I have seen all those, but that doesn't make me interested in them or nor say that I necessarily liked them. But trying to think on which one I would prefer out of the two. I don't know.
Like I said, it's like a high fantasy. The one thing I will give science fiction is consistency. You know what I mean? A lot of it has to do with like laser guns and AI, flying mobiles and spacecrafts and all that stuff. It really kind of just it stays consistent. Where high fantasy is kind of like all over the place. You know what I mean? Like centaurs. So Percy Jackson, centaurs are these like friendly, half-horsed, you know, wise creatures, right? But then in Harry Potter, centaurs are these absolute savage, like tribal creatures that will murder and maim if you step on their territory. So like I said, it's like, it just depends on what mythos you care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, science fiction has that. Cause I mean, you've got Star Trek and Star Wars when, you know, things are kind of, they're similar, but different.
It's still consistent. You know what I mean? Spacecrafts, space fights, aliens, you know what I mean? There's consistency there. Whereas like, again, centaurs can be one thing and different in another.
James, you just triggered something for me because 2 words you said. Have you seen Altered Carbon?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that compared to Star Wars? Like, which one do you think would be more achievable for us as a society?
I don't know. Oh man, Star Wars feels better.
It does. I mean, I like Altered Carbon more than I do Star Wars. I have tried to get into Star Wars like 3 or 4 different times, and
you don't like Star Wars?
I like the first 3 movies, and then like I've watched the rest, and I'm like, oh.
Well, first 3 as in like A New Hope, Empire, and Return, or like Episode 1, 2, 3.
Actually, in the storyline, the first 3.
So the ones that like we all grew up with watching.
So Anakin's movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've tried to watch the original releases, like.
So I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. If you don't like the prequels, you just don't like Star Wars. Because
I mean that's a fair assumption. Is like if you don't.
Yeah, if you don't like Anakin's story, you just don't like Star Wars.
If you watch the prequels and you're like, that's not for me, then you're not gonna like Star Wars at all.
Yeah, because prequels are about as good as it gets. Nah, some of the shows I think are a little bit better than the prequels, but
I wouldn't say
as far as like
I would say they're still very good.
I think The Mandalorian is way better than some of the Clone Wars. I think Clone Wars alone is. Anyways, if you don't like Anakin's movies, you're not a fan of Star Wars. You a Star Trekkie?
No. I do not like
at least I can forgive you.
Okay, so the ones I like: The Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith,
and Clone Wars.
I think so. I'm trying to find it.
Battle Genos is a classic.
Yeah, Clone Wars.
So 1, 2, 3.
Attack of the Clones, The Revenge of the Sith, and then
the Clones.
the
We say Clone Wars because we're talking about the fucking TV show, but Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, like those are the only 3 I like. I'm not like, oh my god, I'm gonna go watch this today. But if it comes on, I'll watch it. I enjoy it. But anything beyond that,
if you like those, then some of the newer movies you might like. It depends on. It depends on how diehard a fan of Star Wars you really are. Because if you just like Star Wars because it's like you just think the world's cool, you'll probably like the newer movies. I mean, because above all else, the scenery in the new movies, are actually really sick.
No, they're very pretty. Yeah, my thing, I think what you're saying has a lot of weight to it. Is like, if you enjoy Star Wars in just the most basic way, then you might have a good time watching them. But if you are a diehard fan of them, and if you are very into like the lore and the world of Star Wars, like
they're
how
not
I
for
am.
you.
Like you're gonna fucking hate them. You're gonna think they're horrible, because they are.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This goes for Lord of the Rings too. Ryan is like,
I was about to say, I want to what is the bad ones of Lord of the Rings? Like what is your episode 7, 8, and 9 of Star Wars? You know what I mean?
Now that's a difficult question. Oh man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It could just be one, but what are the bad?
I mean, if I had to kick one out of every 3 movies, I would kick the twin towers. Yikes! I would kick the two towers out
Gandalf,
of the
they hit
first
the
three.
second tower.
I would kick the two towers out of the original three, and I would kick the Desolation of Smaug out in the Hobbit movies, and then like
Why that one? I guess I say that one because that's the only one I've seen, and it was pretty cool.
it was cool, right? But like I don't know, like the beginning of Bilbo's journey and going through all that shit. Just I don't know, dude. A lot of the first one because it like the Unexpected Journey is my favorite movie out of all of the Lord of the Rings movies. Because it really like the dwarves get up to some goofy shit, man. It's just super fun. It's like the beginning when you like they're all in Bilbo's house was super fucking funny. And then like the song that came out of it was my ringtone for fucking ever. And then like I don't know, dude. I just really love Unexpected Journey. But then like I don't know, Desolation of Smaug, like it took such a turn for me. I was like, I don't think I was ready for all of it. Like this movie got heavy and deep fucking quick. You know what I mean?
That's usually how it goes.
And then like the third one, Battle of the Five Armies is I feel like I remember people being pretty upset with the Battle of the Five Armies. Now I could be wrong about that, but I enjoyed it. I thought Battle of the Five Armies, I mean, it was a sick ass battle. It was super cool. And it was a culminating all of the dwarves stories. You know what I mean? I thought it was super fun and cool. And then like the three original movies, Two Towers, I didn't really care about the Ents. I didn't really care about Pippin and what's the other ginger hobbit's name? I didn't really care. Yeah, Merry and Pippin. I never really cared about their story at all. I was always a bigger fan of like the main guys, you know what I mean? Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Frodo, and Sam. And a lot of the second movie had a lot to do with like more of the side character stuff, which is totally fine. You know, if you're into that, you're into it. I really didn't like it. So like the first movie and the third movie of both of those franchises I really like them both.
Aaron, do you have any ones that you would take out?
For like specific characters that I like or don't like?
No, like which movies did you say like out of the 6 or whatever that you're just like these were not that great?
Oh,
because like we've sat here and we talked. That's another thing that you can answer after Aaron answers James is like, and then go back into that is what you guys don't like, because we've sat here and you guys have told what you like about Lord of the Rings. I want to know what you guys don't like about Lord of the Rings. But Aaron, first you can tell me which movies you would cut out or like which movies you didn't really care about.
I would have to say because I really like all of them. Like I literally own little vinyl pocket editions of the books that I carry around when I'm bored. I'll just whip it out and read it. And then I have all the movies, but
whipping out and read it's what they called me in high school.
Shut the fuck up. Fucking hard, dude.
If I would have to get rid of one of the 6 movies, as much as I like Luke Evans, I would probably get rid of the Desolation of Smaug.
Let's go!
You guys choose the only one that I've watched the entirety of.
And it just goes to show, man, the rest of the movies are just better.
just like whenever we've talked about fucking Kingdom Hearts, I literally own the only Kingdom Hearts game that everybody fucking hates.
Everyone fucking hates it. Oh man, that game sucks, man.
So like you've got the first one. I fucking love that. The Hobbit, it's that clean aesthetic. It's the first one of that little sub section of the universe. And then, go over to Desolation of Smaug. Okay, you've made it to the mountain. Oh no, orcs are attacking you. Okay, you get to the mountain. Oh yeah, the dragon's still alive. Okay, you woke the dragon, you pissed off the dragon. And then here comes fucking Luke Evans as Bard out of nowhere. Like, I could live without that. Honestly, out of all those,
Like
get
the
rid
escape
of
from the Mistwood was cool.
Mhm.
Like all of the things that happened in the Mistwood are cool, but I mean, because learning that like because they actually brought Shelob into the movies, which
Yeah,
she
they
wasn't
did.
talked about. She wasn't talked about very much. I mean, she was in
It's like
Return of the King. She was talked about in Return of the King. You actually see her in Return of the King, but well, because Shelob is technically another god, like technically another god.
has 8 legs.
Yeah, there's a spider queen, something like that. Either
That
way,
sounds cool.
yeah, she's fucking whoa,
She hot?
horrible.
Oh.
No,
Gigan-
it's a spider. It's a spider,
Oh,
Ryan.
it's like a full,
Like a physical- it's a
half spider,
physical
half
spider.
woman.
You can Shelob in the games. Shelob in Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. Oh, Shadow of War specifically. She's kind of hot. She's kind of hot.
Well, because
But,
like the way that you're describing her was like she was like spider, but top half woman.
Like a dryad. You don't know what that is.
Yeah.
No, Shelob is technically a god, and you see her in Return of the King, the original 3. And then she is not mentioned again until Desolation of Smaug. But you don't see her. You're just referenced that the Mistwood is overran by the children of Shelob. But I think that section is really cool. The rest of the movie, not a real big fan of.
Like I said, big dragon, gold dragon. Sounds awesome. That's what got it for
I
me.
mean,
So-
that part. I mean, that part was really
Gold
cool.
dragon.
Uh,
He's not actually a gold dragon. He's like a crimson dragon. Like
he just got
He's a
covered in
winged.
gold.
He's
you know,
a
he just
no.
looked
He's a
cool.
winged drake from the north.
yeah, like they melted a shit ton of gold trying to trap him, and it backfired on them like severely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like he just was covered in
He's a
gold and looked
liquid.
cool, and
Yeah, like
I mean, it was cool. You know what? I actually got motion
solidify
sickness.
that fast. And as master craftsmiths, they should know that gold does not solidify that damn quick. So I feel like that was a plot
He's
error
getting
on
into
their
the
part.
physics of it.
That scene pissed me off so bad
He's
because
getting into physics of it, baby.
yeah, they fucking killed the dragon, and then because like the gold, like okay, it's solidified, then he just fucking busts out and it's still liquid. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's
You
like your
guys
battles, Aaron.
know how gold works.
That's right.
Dump
Baby.
some water on that shit.
Get mad at him.
Oh, that pissed me off. It made me want to kick a
Yeah.
fucking fat kid at Walmart. I swear to God,
Okay. Oh,
it pissed me off so bad.
simmer down. I'm the fat kid at Walmart, man.
It just
All right. So like, I mean, so I.
So what? So now tell me what you guys don't like about Lord of the Rings.
I mean, we just said it, dude. Desolation of Smog, bro.
fucking gold.
The ass half of Desolation of Smog, it was like the culmination of everything I didn't like about it, dude. It was just like mashing a bunch of shit all together at the same time. Is like trying to explain Bard's story while also explaining the back at the Misty Mountain and Thorin Oakenshield's descent into greed and overcoming his descent into greed. It's like
literally
it's like so many like. It's like they
vibe.
just opened a fucking airlock and jettisoned the script and like it was like, hey guys, we're just put a bunch of shit together and hope for the best.
Thank you. This guy gets it. Like
Now,
Ryan, you got to watch the rest. You can't just like watch Desolation of Smog and like, I'm into it. I'm not. It's
The original goal
Worth
for them
one.
going to the mountain was to get the Arkenstone. Somebody grabs the Arkenstone and we decided to fucking stick around with the dragon chilling there. Why? Why?
so that leads me into my other question. This goes for like all the movies, you know, just for Lord of the Rings as a whole. Now, is there like plot holes in the movie, like big plot holes? That's
I
like
mean,
you know the whole community
yes.
has been having issues. Oh, so like what in the Lord of the Rings community where you're just like okay, like just like in with Star Wars, it's just like somehow the Emperor returned. You know what I mean? Like that just okay. Why? How? What the fuck? Is there
Right.
like a moment like that in Lord of the Rings that the community is just like that don't make any sense? you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's one huge glaring one that a lot of people talk about.
Help me out, James, because I don't get the reference he's making there with the Star Wars thing.
Well, he's just talking about like discrepancies, people making the plot holes, and like so. And basically, Emperor Palpatine dies, and then in the newer movies, he's back somehow, and they never
literally
explain
in
it.
the fucking movie, Oscar Isaac's character was like, somehow he's back. Literally, he said somehow he's back. Because
Verbatim.
Even the character in the damn movie had no idea how the hell he came back. So it just made no fucking sense. But yeah, so what in Lord of the Rings, a moment where it just makes no sense, and you're just like, why the hell are they doing that? That makes no sense.
So for the person that hasn't read any of the books, have just watched the movies, right? The biggest glaring one that a lot of people are going to see is the end of the third movie, the end of Return of the King, when the Eagles come and pick up Frodo and Sam. A lot of people are like, well, why didn't the Eagles just take Frodo and Sam to the Mount Doom, drop the ring off, and we call it quits in one movie?
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Like,
I
get
so
in the sense of,
so
like,
here's the thing.
Someone could have done this.
Here's the thing. The Eagles are their own sentient race. Okay. They make all their own decisions. They typically don't get involved in human, elf, dwarven affairs, right? So the only reason that they did get involved is because Gandalf, a demigod, contacted them and asked for help. It took a bit of time for them to get there. You know what I mean? I mean, they are giant eagles, but they're not. Travel time's a bitch, man. You know what I mean? A lot can happen in a few fucking long ass days.
Yeah.
Another one.
Get
another one.
Like that.
Another one that people really have a problem with is Gandalf's reasoning to send Frodo to Mount Doom instead of literally anybody else that's not a Hobbit. You know, his reasoning being they are kind people. They are kind and unbreaking or some shit like that.
So they're harder to corrupt with the ring.
Harder to corrupt, but again, still not correct because Sméagol was corrupt. Bilbo was beginning to be corrupt. Frodo, even at the end of the movie, was like, I'm not going to drop it in the pool, bruh.
Because Bilbo had the ring for 60 years and he started to get to that point.
The corruption gets a lot worse the more you wear it. Bilbo had only canonically worn it twice, I think.
Well, then if you look at Boromir in the meeting, like he basically looks at that damn thing and he's got a hard on for
but
it.
But Boromir is a man.
Yeah, so like
men are easily corrupted.
Harder to corrupt than other people because like Boromir took one look at it, he's like, oh yes, I won. Bilbo
because dwarves are, you know, for lack of like lore or anything like that. I mean, dwarves have to be closely related to hobbits. Sort of. They kind of have to be. Now that's just me kind of pulling that out of my ass because they could very well not be, and it could just be a thing that the hobbits have is just a natural resistance to corruption. I don't fucking know. But the reasoning, Gandalf's reasoning is a lot of like why
he's
people,
just a chill guy,
think,
so why not send him?
Yeah.
The guy owes me money, so I don't know. This is
another plot hole. I guess you could say this is a plot hole. Mount Doom's lack of security when Frodo and Sam are there.
Well, I mean, that was kind of explained because they
sort of
they created a distraction at the Black Gate, and all the military of Sauron went to the gate. I mean, yeah, that makes sense, but why wouldn't you have like a rear guard or something if like that's like the center of your Dark Lord's power? Why wouldn't you have someone chilling?
Well, and my thing too, a little bit, it's just like,
well, technically he had Shelob there, but
my thing too is like,
I thought Shelob was before that, like a past.
Shelob was in the tunnels on their way to.
Okay.
It was the shortcut past the Black Gate.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, okay.
My thing too, like in the regard of like having security there, who necessarily is just willy nilly on a whim like, let's go to Mount Doom. You know what I mean?
New vacay spot, dude. Let's head to Mount Doom.
Let's go get a Airbnb at Mount Doom, because that just sounds, just boy. I'm assuming it's a lava desolate place. It looks like Mustafar. I'm assuming.
It looks like Mad Max shit, desolate.
Yeah. So
another plot hole. The doors of this is a Hobbit thing. The doors of Durin say Moria on the inscription, yet the name Moria was given to Khazad-dûm many years after the doors were created. It's a big plot hole, actually. I know you don't know what any of that is, Ryan, but Moria is a big dwarven mine, big dwarven mining civilization, actually, the biggest of its kind.
So, kind of going off on a side tangent here now that you bring up Moria. So, you know how, like, in Moria, Gimli is like amping this shit up the whole time. My cousin Balin's going to give us a royal welcome and all that. And then they get there and they find out that Balin is actually dead. So if you jump over into The Hobbit, Balin is actually an older dwarf. Like, he's like the oldest of the company. And Gimli is son of Gloin. Gloin is a younger dwarf in that company. So it's like, how would Gimli have even known Balin if Balin is like hundreds and hundreds of years older than him?
Gimli was already born.
Yeah, but he was like a little kid type deal. But then even like in the end of the Hobbit book, it had talked about when Balin had died. And the way I read it, like, Balin had died before the events of Moria and all that.
Well, maybe, but you would think that he would live in Erebor for at least a little while before even venturing to Moria, which means Gimli would have to grow a little bit.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, what? Because it really should have been The Hobbit and then Lord of the Rings, but they went Lord of the Rings, then The Hobbit with the movies. But shouldn't Gimli have already known he was dead, like, before they even got there? Because, like, he had died so long ago.
I think that the issue with that is, I mean, maybe just because, no, because, like, the books were already out. Because, like, the Hobbit books came out before the Lord of the Rings books, right? So
yeah, the books are in order. It's the movies are a little bit different, but, like, if you read the book, Gimli is not, going on about my cousin Balin and stuff.
So that must have been a original creative thought that the director came up with that they didn't think about, because, like, obviously, like, the Lord of the Rings movie came out way before that, so they just probably it's probably just an oversight more than anything, but I mean, you're not wrong, but I'm assuming that it's just like an oversight. And
how did Gimli not know of what happened to Balin and company at Khazad-dûm? As to the Gimli situation, Glowin makes it clear, either at the council or to Frodo at dinner, I don't remember which, that the dwarves of the Lonely Mountain received news from the Moria for a time, but had heard nothing for several years. All the dwarves knew of the dangers of Moria, but Balin and his followers believed that after the Battle of Five Armies, the orcs of the Misty Mountains were too few to pose a threat. Gandalf had not been in Moria for many years, and although he was wary of going there, it had been his backup to the Red Horn Gate from the beginning. Aragorn was the one opposed to it and begged Gandalf not to mention it to the others until absolutely necessary. So basically, Balin died many years before Gimli got there, but the last he knew, Balin was alive.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. It, like, from what I'm seeing is this. It's saying that Gimli was from Erebor, and then Balin was in Moria. A time period of 30 years had passed, no news, so, like, no communication. But they're like, we hope they're doing okay. We're not going to check.
Yeah,
that's kind of like what it's saying. But because I was watching that yesterday or the day before, I was like, and so they're going down that rabbit hole. It's like, how the hell did he not know? So that answers that. I just kind of rabbit hole there.
That's why we do these things. Figure it out. No, I think it's about it. Of like my questioning of, Lord of the Rings, because like trying to it. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I have any more like final thoughts of Lord of the Rings in itself and like as a whole. I'm not saying that Lord of the Rings is bad. I'm just saying that I don't know. I don't know nothing about it to really have an opinion, and that's why I've been trying to refrain from saying like if it's bad or good. Like I will make my jokes and I'll shit talk or whatever, because I think I made a joke about like I was just about a movie, 3 movies of a couple short guys walking to a fucking volcano. Cool. You know what I mean? Like it's just 3 movies.
No,
of
yeah.
walking.
I mean, if it's not for you, it's not for you. You know what I mean? I don't particularly think the movies are bad. I think they definitely need help in some ways.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
like,
but, like, so
none of
here's the
this
thing
is
is,
me,
like-
talking bad about it or anything.
Yeah, I like the movies a lot. They're very fun. But it also comes like, remember when we talked about Harry Potter together? The first 4 movies I completely cut out. I don't really enjoy watching those like at all. So I'll watch the back half every time.
Because it's
You
just
know what I mean? So, like-
exposition and backstory.
A lot of
and shit like that.
yeah, a lot of it
filler.
is like world building and filler, and I've seen this many times.
I mean, granted,
See
it's
it again.
very necessary. Like that doesn't take away from it. Because
Super
it still
necessary.
is very important stuff.
It
'cause
is.
You're learning more about the character and.
But
You
if you
know.
already know it, yeah, then you can kind of go without it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. But no, I think that's about it of what I have of Lord of the Rings, you know what I mean? Like I'm open to watching it, I think, but it would have to take somebody else being like, "Oh yeah, hey, I'm watching Lord of the Rings if you want to sit down with me." I don't think I would ever sit down and be like, "I want to watch Lord of the Rings." You know what I mean? It's just that will never happen. Like I said, I would have to be over there hanging out with you, or like Anna would have to be like, I want to try Lord of the Rings. It would take that for me to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll give it a go. Maybe one day if we can get that watch party shit going on. Maybe we can watch like a Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring that up, wasn't I?
We can do that. I mean, if you want to bring it up, you can throw that out, that idea out there.
I don't even remember when we had it set. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, it don't matter. We can just set up the whole idea of it. But yeah, no, I think that's about it, and we'll round off. We got to like the 2.5 hour mark, where we
Yeah, I'm
typically end these.
Fucking hot
Why don't you have the AC on in there?
is on.
Is it?
I
Probably
noticed.
because you have the fucking curtain in front of it.
Yeah, I'm not putting it
Well, what's the
I don't know.
temperature there, guys?
hot.
I think it's like 80
73
something.
degrees.
Huh. It's
73 right
68
now.
here. Like,
There's an air quality alert right now.
Oh no. Too many fucking smokers.
like
Too many
I
liberals
think
taking
Ryan,
up
I
the
think
good air.
Jesus.
I think I sent you the picture of the smoke up here last week. Like, I'm catching it before you guys do, and it is, ugh. It smelled like 10 kinds of trash and electrical fires.
Oh, from like forest fires up there in like Canada or some shit.
We actually, like, those fires are actually driving bears and stuff down here because we don't really have bears in my area. They're more towards the Badlands over by Montana. But literally yesterday, like, I think it was like 3, maybe 4 bears were sighted within like 50 miles of my town, and that's just kind of like unheard of. But also, like, we're getting a lot of moose out this way and mountain lions and stuff. It's just a lot of wildlife is getting pushed south from the fires.
The moose would be cool but scary to see.
They are freaking massive. One of my coworkers has like he lives on a farm,
Go back out there.
and he's like, yeah, I've got moose going through there all the time. You know, got to make sure they don't get around the cows or anything, but also you got to make sure like we don't come across them because like
Oh, they're
they're
super
very
territorial.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they're bigger than a freaking horse. Like
Oh yeah, no, they're huge.
I've not yeah, I've seen pictures, but he's like because this dude's a little bit shorter than me, but he could literally stand underneath the moose standing up. So it's like
Yeah, no, like
don't
hitting hitting a deer like with your car going full speed will like destroy your car, possibly total it, maybe if you hit a big enough deer. But like you hit a moose, you're dead. Like
Yeah.
you're fucked. Because like the MythBusters did like a whole thing about like going fast and like hitting a moose and shit like that, and like yeah, no, hitting a moose no matter what speed you're going, you're screwed. you're just screwed. Like
I mean, I'd love to hunt one. You know, I've heard their meat is really good, and unless you hunt it, you can't really get it out here. But this state runs their hunting tags off of lottery versus how, you know, Indy does it. You can literally buy whatever tags you want and almost as many as you want. Here you have to apply for a lottery. And you know, some people I know here is like they went 15 years without getting a single deer tag.
That's crazy.
And it's like, ugh. And then the elk and moose tags are even more rare than the white-tailed deer tags.
Wild.
Yeah, but it's the bear thing. You're talking about the air quality thing, but
yeah, no, I think that's about it. That's where we'll wrap everything up, and we will end today's episode. Excuse me. I do want to say before we end, you know, thank you guys for the continued support, and you know, obviously we haven't been posting many videos here lately. Like we're still kind of in that process of catching back up on shit, and also we did have a lot of footage get scrapped and messed up on the channel, so we're still trying to fix that. We just recorded about, you know, a couple episodes last night. They all seem to be fine. A couple of like audio sound issues is like being a little bit quiet, but there's stuff that can easily be fixed and overcome.
And overcame.
I hate to add to your plate, but I'll be calling you guys here in the next couple weeks when I launch my channel. So
There you go.
be prepared for that, because I definitely want you two up on there.
But we're
James,
still editing everything out together. I'm still working on some stuff. Like I had one of our tier list for a tier list that's about to come out. Lost 10 minutes of it. 10 whole minutes of a 30-minute video. So
It's hard to hear.
it was tough. So I have to just create a last little bit for that, so that way that can get posted. And then the last couple Walking Dead episodes were tough. They came out very shitty, and you know, I had to church those up a little bit to make it work, but I still had to cut out, like, I think the last Walking Dead episode I had to cut, I think, like almost 10 minutes out of it. Like I cut a lot of it out because it just got so bugged for no reason. Gamora, big old dumb cat.
James, can you do me a favor? Can you like straight up like Dr. Evil villain stroke your cat, please?
She's an alright
That's
cat.
awesome.
She's a little annoying, but she's alright.
She's
You
the
know,
one you
I
hear fucking
like
howling
cats,
at
but
night.
I don't want
If it was Beast would be the one to sit there and evilly stroke. But
mean-
but yeah, no. Thank you guys for, you know, still, because the channel's still doing great. I mean, it was like a time frame of like 2 days. We went up like 7 subscribers just in 2 days, and we hadn't even posted a single video yet. We just posted TikToks and shit.
promoting you guys pretty heavily out here to anybody that will listen to me, because
I
like I
saw.
work with a lot.
We're all the way up in North Dakota now, baby.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like I work with a lot of 90s babies and stuff and some nerds, so I'm
You want
like,
to hear
hey,
some crazy crap, Aaron? This dude told me you lived in North Carolina last.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I
in
didn't.
to North Carolina.
Yeah, you did.
my lip itched, so I had to sit there.
Yeah, I
next
was
to
like,
him.
well, are you throwing a fit because I am
Yeah,
calling you
no, I
out right now?
didn't. No, my lip was tickling, so I
Uh.
like a horse. No, I didn't. But yeah,
I've
no, I
been to
didn't.
North Carolina, visited. I like to visit. I wouldn't live there. It's too tropic, too hot. I'm a fat boy, so the constant hot weather just not for me. I do better up here in the cold with all the extra layers.
I can't do the heat. I need the cold.
You're
It's
fucking
like-
telling me.
What do you mean?
I'm roasting right now, dude.
Yeah, no, it's like 62 in here right now.
The thing about heat, right, is I don't really care about heat. I'll sit in 90-something degree weather, no problem. It's when my ears are covered in that heat. That's what fucking kills me.
It's not heat at all.
Yeah.
Like, any slight change, like if it,
I got bitch ears.
but
My ears are tingling.
But yeah, like I was saying, no, thank you all for still supporting and everything, and the channel is doing so well and still continuing to grow, even in the midst of
The pandemic.
yeah, the midst of our editing pandemic that we have going on.
Our video pandemic, dude.
Right
The great pandemic of 2025.
but so we thank you guys for that and the continued support, and it shows a lot in that, and then the numbers as well. Our videos are still doing well, and the views are going up and up and up. And I will say we need more people coming to the lives. Our lives have people are watching the videos more than the lives here lately. So
It's true.
we need to get those lives back going well. But we're still here. Share it around with your friends. We go live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We just talk about nostalgic stuff. We also do other videos. We do gaming, playing nostalgic stuff. So if that's something that you're into. We're really hard into tier list right now. So we're tier listing a lot of nostalgic stuff. We're doing all.
And don't expect them to go fucking anywhere.
We're doing all the cartoons and everything. We want to do some like reactions. Maybe some TikTok reactions to like nostalgic stuff and everything. And we're curating some of that right now. Yeah, we post when everything's edited and fine. We post every single day, the gaming and the tier list. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, the bell if you haven't. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, what are you doing, weirdo? Why are you lurking? Go subscribe so that way we know each other.
It's free for you and it's pretty cool for us.
And also, like I said earlier, in the middle of all of this, we have that link tree. That link tree has, a link to all of our social media, TikTok, Instagram, our Facebook, even for you boomers. And then we have a submit form for you guys to submit your music and art for the live streams like this. We have a 10-minute pre-show for you guys to submit that we can show off. We're trying to make sure that we build a community and share everybody's stuff. So get in on that. And also in that link tree, you got special little gifts from us to you guys. You got a 30-day free trial for Hulu. So jump on there and get that. Start watching, start Huluing. You know what I mean? Do your thing. We watched, like I mentioned earlier, there's a new show about that Natalia girl from Indiana. We're all from Indiana here. She's a Ukraine girl that had a form of dwarfism. Anna and I just watched it. It was really good. It was a good show. We had us we're waiting for it. We had it on the edge of our seat. We're actually meant to watch it like a documentary. We keep talking about wanting to watch that, but we don't do it. It's a good time. Go watch that. That's on Hulu. 30-day free trial for that. Also, there's a 10 free meals with HelloFresh. You can get on there. Like I said, HelloFresh is something where they send you a box and it has a couple meals for the week. It's all fresh ingredients, and it comes with a little card to show you how to cook it. So that gets you back in the kitchen doing that, learning to cook. I always did it. I loved it so much. I love the fresh ingredients and Better Pizzas and Papa John's and all that stuff. And what else about it? Oh yeah, you can set it up with like however your kind of diet, rather that be pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan, everything, meatitarian, like I said earlier as well. Meatitarian's not going anywhere. I'm gonna keep that I'm gonna keep that one going.
Can't wait.
But so definitely go check those out. That helps you guys out and helps us out. And yeah, thank you, Aaron, for coming and being on the show again. You know,
No problem. I always enjoy hopping on with you guys.
Taking time out of your busy schedule to come talk about virgin shit like Lord of the Rings with us.
Well, tonight's my only night off this week because I got a extra work day tomorrow, and then I work all weekend. But it's worth it to come chat with you fellers.
Yes, sir. Now that you get your computer going, you can come hang out with us more. And if there's another episode that you want to be on, feel free to come be on it.
All right, I'll keep an eye out. Question: are you guys after you sign off, you gonna tune into the basketball game? Tonight's the NBA Finals, and Pacers finally made it there.
No.
Nope. Don't care
You're not
about
gonna
basketball. So. No, sport ball is not really a thing that I think either.
So
one
this
of us
was
is.
NBA.
Yeah, it's the NBA Finals. So
I heard
the
it was like the WNBA, but all dudes.
Shut the fuck up.
That's a classic.
Kicking myself in the ass because of their odds on the first game. I was like, if I bet $20, I can win $130. I'm like, no, they ain't gonna win it. The fuckers won it.
Oh, so you're watching it for gambling purposes?
Well, no, it just.
We here at Sweet Nostalgia do not condone gambling
We do not.
under the
I'm gonna
age of
say that-
21.
Hold on, I'm gonna go to the big camera for a second. Where is it? Okay, yep, yes, no. Us at Sweet Nostalgia do not condone gambling. Don't, just don't. It's bad.
Yeah.
Don't do
You
it.
gamble in real life, you're gambling with your life. I'll find you.
And I will kill you. No, we won't. I'm gonna switch back to the big camera real quick. Us at Sweet Nostalgia will not kill you. That was a joke. But don't gamble.
Until we do.
No. No, but yeah, thank you guys for all coming hang out. Thank you again, Aaron. Go hit those links in the bio. Go subscribe if you haven't. And we will see you guys in the next one. We'll see you later.
Baby.